We live.
Oh, let's get it. Shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom. ANTIOCHUS, Chicago, Illinois, back again. And coming down today with a sit-down lesson, quick Sabbath lesson. Since we got rained on, we'll do this quick Sabbath lesson based on this book right here. This book is called ANTIOCHUS, a novel by Walter K. Price and John Gillies. Right, so we're going back up, cross-reference with the Bible, the Apocrypha, the Book of Maccabees, and also with this book right here, just to show y'all some in-depth details of what was going on during the time of Antiochus, and also the time of the infamous Cracker Barrel, Jack in the Box, right? Swine flesh walking, Edomite Terminator, rat, devil, Heliodorus. Right? We're going to show you some in-depth what happened to that. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
So first off, let's get Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. Let's get Romans chapter 15 and verse 4.
John. This is the book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
For whosoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right, so this is part of history. Right? From the Maccabees, this is historical figures, historical facts. Like with Alexander the Greek, I can look that up on the internet. That's history. Right? Cesare Borgia, Caesar Borgia, Pope Alexander VI of Rome. Right? I can look that up in history. They even got a show called the Borgias. Right? So the Bible also deals with history. And the history we're going to touch on is this devil Antiochus, right? The Maccabean family and Heliodorus. Alright? And we'll save the one with the one with the 7 children. We'll deal with that, I think, most likely tomorrow. We'll deal with that tomorrow. Alright? So let's get into it. Let's get 2nd Maccabees chapter 3. Let's get 2nd Maccabees chapter 3. So let's go to verse. Let's go to verse 23.
This is the book of 2nd Maccabees, chapter 3, and verse 23. Nevertheless, Heliodorus executed that which was decreed. Now, as he was there present himself with his guard about the treasury, the Lord of spirits, the Prince of all power, caused a great apparition, so that all that presumed to come in with him were astonished at the power of God and fainted and were sore afraid.
Right, so this is the story of Heliodorus, right, attacking the temple of Jerusalem, and the priest at that time was Ananias, right? So he stepped into the temple, right? And when he stepped into that temple, which was the Holy of Holies, he seen an apparition, right? Read on.
For there appeared unto them, an horse with a terrible rider upon him, and adorned with a very fair covering. And he ran fiercely and smote at Heliodorus with his forefeet. And it seemed that he that sat upon the horse had a complete harness of gold.
All right, read on.
Moreover, 2 other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel, who stood up by him on either side and scourged him continually and gave him many sore stripes.
And then what?
Gave him many sore stripes.
So these are 2 angels that manifested on his left hand and on his right hand. Young angels, right? And even they got it on the video. Y'all look up on YouTube, where they was talking about the angels on a big chariot, and out of the chariot came more than 700 or more young black men. They were angels. Came out of them chariots of the UFOs. More than 700 young black men, and they were all young, they were tall, they were strong, and they all had weapons in their hands. Read on.
And Heliodorus fell suddenly into the ground, and was compassed with great darkness. But they that were with him took him up, and put him into a litter. Thus him that lately came with a great train, and with all his guard into the said treasury, they carried out, being unable to help him with his weapons, and manifestly they acknowledged the power of God.
Right? Read on.
For he, by the hand of God, was cast down and laid speechless without all hopes of life.
Right? And he was what?
He laid speechless without all hopes of life.
Right. They beat the brakes off this Edomite. Right? They beat the brakes off this Edomite. Right? Read on.
But they praised the Lord, and had miraculously honored his own place. For the temple, which a little afore was full of fear and trouble, when the Almighty Lord appeared, was filled with joy and gladness.
Right? Read on.
And straightway certain of Heliodorus' friends prayed Ananias that he would call upon the Most High and grant him his life, who lay ready to give up the ghost.
Right? He was ready to die. Right? They done beat him to death. Mentally, spiritually, physically. They beat him in the earthly realm. They tore his behind up in the third heaven. Right? They beat him in all different cycles of life. And there was an Asgard, he got beat through all the 9 realms. Read on. Whooped his ass from Asgard to Midgard.
So the high priest suspected lest the king should misconceive that some treachery had been done to Heliodorus by the Jews, offered a sacrifice for the health of the man.
Right? So now jump from there to verse 35.
Verse 35. So Heliodorus, after he had offered sacrifice unto the Lord, and made great vows unto him that had saved his life, and saluted Ananias, returned with the host to the king.
Right? Read on.
Then testified he to all men,
To all men, even to his people, the Edomites, the heathens, the Greeks, read on.
the works of the great God, which he had seen with his eyes.
With his what?
With his eyes.
He's seen the Lord with his eyes. Right? Remember, the Lord said in Ezekiel chapter 20 and 30 that he's going to get Israel out of Egypt with his second hand, bring them back into the wilderness, and he's going to do what? He's going to meet them face to face. Right? Read on.
And the king asked Heliodorus, who might be a fit man to be sent yet once again to Jerusalem.
So this Edomite tried again. And right. He tried, like read on.
He said, if thou hast any enemies.
So now he's like, listen, he flipped it on him. Listen, forget people trying to help you. If you got an enemy, if you got an eye, read on.
If thou have an enemy or a traitor.
Or a traitor.
A treasonous man.
Right? A treasonous man. Man that don't love his countrymen. Read on.
Send him thither.
He said what?
Send him thither.
He said send them there immediately. And tell them, go get the money, and I'll give you an extra pay raise. Right? They're going to be raised after they dead. You know?
And thou shalt receive him well scourged.
See, well scourged.
Well whooped ass.
Well whooped ass. Angelic whooping, celestial whooping, biblical whooping, physical whooping, right? Mental whooping. You know?
And thou shalt receive him well scourged if he escape with his life.
If he escapes. So he might not even make it out of it. Unless they allow it. So this is an Edomite saying this.
That's because he almost went to the third heaven.
Right.
Without all
he kind of peeked over there like.
for real.
Yo. Right? Real.
So like, if he escaped with his life, for in that place, no doubt, there is an especial power of God.
So he said there's no doubt that the Lord is with them. Right? Like this is crazy. So now,
Normally we'll back that up with Judas 5 saying the same thing that Heliodorus just told his commander-in-chief Moab, telling his chief the same thing, man. Don't go there messing with them dudes. And they in order with their God.
So we done with that story, Heliodorus, and we're gonna read it from the book, right? Give me this precept. Give me 2 Corinthians chapter 12. And you get you say Jude 5 and 17, right? Yeah, you get Jude 5 and 17. Right? Yeah, I'm talking about the third heaven, right? Get 2 Corinthians chapter 12. And get verse 3.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter
Slide
12,
2, verse 2.
and verse 2. I knew a man in Christ above 14 years
So
ago.
this is Paul speaking, and it's a revelation unto him, you know?
Whether in the body, I cannot tell.
So Paul's like, I don't know if he was in a body or if he was in the spirit, right? Or an out-of-body experience, you know?
Or whether out of the body, I cannot tell.
Right?
God knows.
Right, the Lord knows. You know?
Such a one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. God knows.
All right? And look what he shows right there. What verse is that? That's verse 3. Let me see what. Look at that little smiley face. Look at that semicolon right there.
Semicolon with a quote.
Yeah, only the Lord knows.
Got a wink.
Right. You know?
How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter.
Right, that probably happened to Heliodorus. He got caught up in the third heaven and seen some stuff and got his behind beat. Right? There's a video on YouTube, you have to look it up, where Edomite died and he said he seen heaven, the gates of heaven, and inside the gates of heaven was black people.
So look, what was those? What do you think was those words that was not lawful for a man to utter? I don't know either.
I don't want to take it. I don't want to say it. And Paul said it's not lawful to utter. Right? I think he's talking about the description of the heaven, like detail, the beast and everything.
Verse 2, I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago. Whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell, God knows. Such a one caught up to the third heaven.
Watch who else had the same vision. This is Revelations.
You gotta speak up about it.
Revelations 1 and 10. I was in the spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in the book, and send it unto the seven churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, unto Smyrna, unto Pergamos, unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And in 12 he says, and I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man's clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girded about the paps with a golden girdle. Right? So the same way Paul seeing the vision of them, and not really knowing if he's seeing them in the physical or if it was a celestial being, right? John also having the same vision of them.
John thinking he bugged.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you know what's crazy about 2 Corinthians 12?
I think he might have been probably talking about himself.
Right. Yeah, 2 Corinthians 12 is Paul speaking about himself, but he didn't know that.
But he said,
that's why he was like, he said, man, 14 years.
He said,
at that time, ahead of that time.
He said 14 years ago.
Right.
So that's before that time. I'm thinking that he might have seen literally an angel. That's what I was thinking.
No, because the angels, that was him. Because the thing with Paul, the Most High was showing him visions and dreams. Right? You know what it's like? It's basically like, yeah. You know what it's like? It's like you, before you would come to this truth, you might have specific dreams that you've seen. And it just kind of put that battery in your back. You're like, what the hell is this? And then you come into this truth, and then you understand that dream clearly now. Like, for example, me, before I even knew about Israelites, Bible, whatever, I had this one dream that there was a dark black angel, right? And it was like the earth was shaking, the ground and fire and all of this stuff. And the angel was coming down onto me and was like that, trying to grab my hand. And I'm looking at it shook. Like, the hell is this? And it was dark skin, black. with big ass wings and everything. It was telling me like, yo, you coming up or you staying down there? I said, what the hell is
He
this?
was down. He's like, hell no.
Hell no. Right?
For real.
And I forgot that dream until I first read Ezekiel chapter 1, where he showed how the angels look. Charcoal like burnished brass and everything. And dark skin. I was like, oh shit, that's what I see. So I didn't know it until we showed in the scriptures. Right?
He said the one that he thinking that he saw back then was called up to the third heaven. That's why he said the other shot only one that called up there, sitting up there.
All right,
Remember the lesson you did last night, showing how Yahweh Shai is all through the scriptures. He's been making showings and popping up everywhere. So, I mean,
here we go. Get 1 Samuel chapter 28. Right? And verse 12. Because remember, don't forget also Jacob's ladder. Remember Jacob's ladder? When he had that dream of the angels going up and down the steps? Right? Watch this. 1 Samuel chapter 28. Let's get verse 11. So this, yeah. This is Saul speaking to the witch of Andor. Right? Yeah, 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 11. And then we'll get into we have Judah 5 and 17, right? Judah 5 and 17, yeah. Let's get 1 Samuel.
1 Samuel chapter 28 and 11. Then said the woman, who shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel.
Right? So he's telling the woman, the witch of Andor, Saul is telling the woman, conjure up Samuel. You know?
And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice.
Right. So the woman saw Samuel and she cried with a loud voice. Now this woman had to be a powerful witch to even call the spirit of Samuel. Right? You know?
And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul.
So she's saying, you lied to me, you tricked me. Right? Now watch this. Why did she cry with a loud voice, you know?
And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou?
So he's asking her, why are you scared? You're a witch. You one of the top level witches. You deal with sorcery, you deal with demons and spirits. Why are you shook? You know?
And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth.
She saw what?
Gods ascending out of the earth.
That's what she seen. And one of those gods she seen was Samuel. That's Psalms 82 and 6. Ascending, God, getting caught up in the third heaven. Ascending out of the earth. So she was shook. So all these Israelites, even, niggas here and there, this and that, drug addicts, crackheads, and all of this stuff, they still the gods of the earth.
Interrupting Samuel in his work.
Huh?
Interrupting Samuel in his work.
Yeah, we're still the prince of the power. Psalms 82 and 6. So this witch of Andor is shook like, oh shit. I see Samuel in his glorified form as a god, and gods ascending up, getting beamed up from the earth to the third heaven. So this is a witch that's saying this, right? All right, let's drop that. Let's get Judah 5 and 17.
You see the thing, she's still seeing him in his manly form. Right? She ain't seeing him in his celestial form. She saw him as a man with a hood on.
Right.
You said with a hood on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
So we had a mantle on. A mantle is a hood.
Yeah, with the mantle. What you got?
Judah.
So this is the precept with 2 Maccabees chapter 3.
We read it.
To
14 it says, and he said unto her, what form is he of? Right? Because he asked him, is he in a manly form or be in a celestial form? That's what you got to assume from that. Because why else would he ask what form is he in? Right? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself.
yeah, the mantle is like the hood. What was it? Assassin's Creed? When they have the hood and all of that stuff? Speaking of that.
Can we keep reading that? Can we keep reading this? Just a little bit hood.
Basically, Samuel threatened his ass, man. Samuel basically threatened him after that.
What the hell you doing? He's like, what the hell you doing, bro? I'm reading just a little bit on Samuel. Hey, Samuel, like, what the hell are you doing, bro?
What it is it's showing you how what Jacob do today. Every year that your son or your daughter or your cousin died, they go out there and want to light damn candles, spelling their name in candles, and damn balloon releasing. Man. This the equivalent of that, like a damn seance. Yeah, you disturb them. You can tell you that in Iraq. You know what I'm saying? It's disturbing them from having their peace when you do that. Yeah, when you messing dead, man.
And yo, y'all seen that article when he said it was kids playing with the Ouija board, the Ouija board, the Ouija board, and they said they started bugging out, seeing spirits and all this stuff. Yeah, man, it's gonna come. It's there in Colossians chapter 1, when it talks about Yahweh Shai, all the things that He made of the world, the spiritual, seen and unseen.
First of all, if you in the Bible, if you in the truth, and you claim you don't believe in spiritual demons, you ain't in the truth. Because the Lord told you He created them.
Right.
Yahweh Shai went to war with them. How can you claim to be in the truth and deal with the Most High and don't believe that there's a left-hand side?
Let's get Judah chapter 5, verse 17.
It's the book of Judah, chapter 5 and verse 17. And where they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way that which He appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captive into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolated. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there by any error is this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be with them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
Basically, he said the same thing that Heliodorus told to his king or whoever it was, that as long as these Israelites is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the best thing for anybody to do is to pass right on by them if you're thinking about going up there trying to put them in slavery and subdue them. Because God gonna fight for them whenever they in order. But if they not, if we can find out whether they breaking His laws and profaning His word, then we can go up and He pretty much ain't gonna defend them. He'll use us as a whooping stick and let us destroy them and have our way with it.
So let's get it.
That's why Heliodorus told his king, man, you love them, you better find somebody you hate and send them over there. Because right now, them cats is in order with their God. You see what I'm looking like right now? Send somebody you hate, man, and you might get them back scorched. If they don't come back at all.
That was Judah. Yeah, Judah chapter 5, verse 17 through 21. Yeah, through 21. They was basically plotting on how to overthrow us, man. Yeah. Because our one weakness is us, and is between. Like our strength is our God, but you go away from them, that can be your weakness too, man. Right? So that's why you see Esau putting all sorts of shrimp, crab, and lobster commercials on TV with And that's witchcraft for real. They be showing how you squeeze the lemon on the damn crab, and they be splashing, making it look beautiful on the damn abominable food, man. They make it enticing for you, right? So that they can continuously overthrow you and keep you in captivity. You know what I'm saying? So really, that was the game plan. That I think it was the Syrians. Right? The Syrians, they called them to the Moabites, and then the Moabites was asking the Chaldeans, well, no, the Canaanites, rather, right? Who is these people? And how do we overthrow them?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they gave them a rundown.
The blueprint.
Yeah, the blueprint. And me personally, I don't know yet, because that's something I will have to study. I don't know the time period in which Judith was written. For real, I would have to research that. But it seemed like, hey, Heliodorus and them, you know, they kind of knew that information about us. We got certain laws that we're supposed to keep as people, and that if we break them, then the Lord is going to bring calamity on us. And I think that's through them also having that, like, they probably had our books tangible too, man.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But for the Canaanites to know that, the Canaanites, they was the first people we was told to smite.
Remember, they took some of the books and burned them.
Yeah.
So they had
they flipped through that joint a little bit. You know?
And think about it. Some books they could take, keep for themselves. That's why they got the Vatican. Right? All these movies, right? All the gold and everything. We're the greatest people on the earth. We're the form of all things. So they got our information, and then the rest they'll burn. So make sure we don't get it, but they still got our sources.
Right.
Right? Because as a person of war, information is key. Knowledge is key.
That's a lot of World War II, man. It was the intelligence.
Yeah, kind of like a lot of like just even when you was bringing up out of regards to how the food and different things, how Esau didn't work. I go to the store, every piece of beef sausages and chicken sausages got pork cases. Right in the stores. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't know that, he knows everything, how to try to get you to continue to even break even the commandment and everything. So,
right.
Again, if you're not wise, if you're not paying attention or looking up, again, he's trying to find any way to creep in.
And just recognize how old time the lunch meat turkeys be about $5-6. But me and Diana went to the store up in Walmart, whole hams was $3.
Come on.
Literally,
Yeah,
am I lying? $3 for a whole ham. There's an agenda to be pushed, man.
You got that Arthur the Pig, man.
He everywhere. Wilbur them is really, they pushing Wilbur heavy.
Yeah,
Right.
they had the whole long. Everybody in there was lining up to get the turkeys.
We went to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Took them to the slaughterhouse, bro. The whole center of the slaughterhouse, goddamn pork ass just falling all off the table.
For real.
Like the pork is twerking.
Damn swine from the door to the back.
Yeah.
Just full of damn swine, man. Top shelf, bottom shelf.
You see everybody picking through it, which piece they want to.
Like they he trying to find the best piece
Right.
and nasty is good. All of it
Right.
nasty, man. You looking for the best piece. Ooh, look at all the meat on this. All of it is bull crap.
Right.
Yeah, pig crap.
Literally.
Right.
Let's get it. So we're gonna talk about this dude, this culprit, this book right here. And mind you, this is written by Edomite. Right? Majority of these books is written by Esau. All these books you see on these shelves right here, this majority of them written by Esau.
So
And it's them telling on themselves.
so here's the twist. They try to
Somebody just screaming outside.
Is that who you thought?
There's an Eve out there, man. Tell us what's going on with it. But they'll spend the story to try to make you think that the Bible is not real. It's fictitious, right? The greatest story ever written.
Right. Fairy tale.
Hey man, you can't write this.
Right.
Esau ain't that damn intelligent.
People give Esau too
That
much
you
credit.
think that he wrote this. This is real life. That's why ain't no book ever matching. If this was written by somebody, there should be a part 2.
Right.
There should be, you know what I'm saying, sequels to it.
Right.
This is actual real life. But the flip side is that in their attempts to try to discredit the scriptures, only for the purpose of not allowing the Israelites to come into the knowledge of who they truly are, right? But at the same time, you got books like the damn Epiphanies, the Antiochus book,
Right.
that was written correlating these timelines.
Right.
Like he said, this is a damn archaeologist or geologist or whatever you want to call them, who done went back into these land masses, dug up artifacts, right? Talked to indigenous people that's been there, who these stories been passed down through generations, right? He done his due diligence to put this book together. And the book syncs right up with the scriptures.
Right.
So who lying? How can his historical research that he done match up to what the Bible is saying, and the Bible is fake? But he literally physically went out. We don't know nobody who put this together.
Right.
No person that put this Bible together is on the face of this earth, and there's nobody on the face of this earth that can sit you down and say, yeah, my great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy passed this story down about the Bible. Nobody. But yet you got a book that was written by a physical man who walked the earth during our time, who did the chronological research, and his discoveries basically sync up perfectly with the book that was written over 2,000 plus years ago.
That goes with the Babylon of Timbuktu as well.
You see what I'm saying? So, if at the very least you don't want to believe the Bible in its written text, well, here go 2 or more witnesses.
Right.
All of these books is backing up what the Bible said.
And this is what you call extra biblical sources.
And they put their trust in these cats.
Right.
They believe these guys. These are the people that Esau's kingdom has deemed their top scholars of the world. Credible, reputable sources.
Right.
How does his research validate the scriptures, but the scripture is not true?
So most people that say that the Bible is not true, they ain't even read the
They not even
Bible.
read.
They ain't never read it. You don't know what the hell is in the Bible. They ain't never read it.
They didn't get past John 3:16.
Right.
What is John 3:17?
Right.
They like the Old Testament only older dude that we had a conversation with over there on Saturday night. Oh, you gotta get the good book. You gotta get the book by Peter Scott, St. James.
1,000 books.
The man just a whole damn library full of all of these damn. You see what it is you're not getting the whole story.
He read this whole story, but only read half the Bible.
And don't believe in the
That's
Maccabees.
And now your opinion of the Bible is based off of that book.
Right. The white nigga said.
That's why I'm gonna make this claim. We hold the Bible as we hold the Bible over this. The Bible is the main source.
Bible is source text.
So if anything comes out as a little different, we're gonna take the Bible's perspective first, man.
That's why we read the Bible first.
Come.
That's why we read
Call it
Maccabees
doing
first.
comparative text.
Right.
Comparative text.
You see what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Historical, biblical, archaeological, and sometimes geographical.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
So now the same thing we read in the second Maccabees, now we're gonna read it in this book right here, right?
So this is the other party's perspective. The second Maccabees is written from an Israelite's perspective, right? But in regards to his actions at that very moment, what he, his brothers, his sons, and so forth and so on, fellow Israelites at that time, what they actually done.
Right.
But this book is going to give the account of the opposing team,
Right.
what they saw looking across the damn battlefield at these dudes,
Right.
who they get ready to go to war with.
Right. So once again, we hold the Bible as our main source. That's the top source. because just as other texts read, like the Michel Stille, right? That kind of lied on the scriptures, lied on our forefathers, saying that they kind of won. We're gonna hold the Bible as the top source because that's what it is. Right?
Let's bring it out.
So this is the book called ANTIOCHUS.
Hey, look, man, the Lord's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. That means he sees everything at all times from every angle, every perspective. These books are written from one person's perspective. So you say they kind of in the midst of the war. We all in the middle of the battle right now, right? We swinging that iron. But at the moment that you turn your head to swing this way, there's something happening you're not seeing.
Right.
But I'm on your other side of you swinging in that direction. I see what you just turned away from.
Right. Blind spot.
You see what I'm saying? And at the moment that I turn to cover that section, it's something I'm missing over here. But he's got my back, so he see what's going on that side. It's only when we start putting our pieces of the puzzle, or at the moment that I swung, he stepped in. Also, that's what happened when that took place.
Right.
This is what you get with the comparative text. You get the story from the other person's vision and their perspective of the exact same account at the same time.
You know what's crazy? That's why he got the book called John, the book of Luke, the book of Mark, and the book of Matthew.
All of them was there at the exact same time, but it's their perspective from their view and their angle at that time. Right. If we all stood on four corners and there was an accident in the middle of the intersection, the two people in the accident, they can twist and lie and say anything to make one seem more villainous than the other. But when the damn investigators come, they're going to ask all four of us from them corners, what do we see? And it will be only then that they will get the complete story.
Right.
We got all angles.
All angles come.
All details, all perspectives. Right? Now we're going to get the perspective of the Edomites.
You tell it again. It's accountability. This is why people they quick to want to be Muslims. They want to be damn Kundalinists, and they want to be Buddhists. They want to chase behind every damn religion on the earth except for being an Israelite. Because to be an Israelite, to be a true follower of Yahweh Shai, it takes discipline, it takes accountability, it takes self-control. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a certain level of pride about who you are. They don't want that. They'd rather be nigga man almighty damn supreme, man. With no accountability to nothing. And none of these other damn religions hold them to nothing. I know damn Muslims eat pork.
Yep.
I know damn Israelites, Muslims smoke damn rat poison cigarettes, man.
And drinking.
Always talking about some damn halal. Look at you smoking a damn cigarette.
Talking about a lot of cigarettes.
A lot of too. Just to add to it, that level of fear.
Halal cigarettes, crazy.
Just to add to it, it takes that level of fear too, to knowing Most High ain't gonna play with you. So that brings on that discipline and that I'm not gonna do certain things. I'm not gonna go off.
That's embedded in our spirit.
And that fear.
It has to be reawakened, but it's always there. They never had the fear of the Most High because the Most High never dealt with him in regards to punishment from breaking his law. It's the difference in punishment and judgment.
Yeah.
Right? They don't weigh up the same. Punishment is kind of a, you know what I'm saying, slap on the wrist, don't do it no damn more with a whole speech and a threatening, which is what the Lord been doing to us.
Right.
That's why he ain't annihilated our ass. But the heathen, they don't get no slap on the damn wrist and no pep talk, man.
You know what?
They ass get wiped out.
Right. And that's why I say, and I would take it a step further, right? Because when people, there are certain scriptures that says, repent or all ye shall likewise perish. Judgment is for those who actually repented. You really want to be honest. Like, if you don't repent, then you gonna perish. That's the fate of the damn two-thirds.
All those found hand in hand shall you
That's true, man. Like what?
Don't have joined in hand.
You shall not be impenetrable.
I believe it's Sirach, chapter 12, that says, man, what does the rich have to do with the poor? I would say, what does the wicked in a vessel together, one of them gonna break, man. You know what I'm saying? And really, that's pursuing the wisdom of Solomon 5 verse 1, man. Right?
So that's why it's no fear of it. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know the difference between his punishment and his leniency versus a judgment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't get no leniency. There's no repentance for them.
Right.
They can't say, I'm sorry, you know, and then, oh, okay, it's all good. They can, I'm sorry all the hell they want. They're going to still get the same ruthless ass judgment brought up on them.
Right.
Viciousness.
So there's no fear in that. It's just a do or die. Like when you think about when you watch movies, how them damn Edomite Viking cats, they be ready to die. Right? I don't care. Kill me. I'm ready.
Right.
I'm going to Odin.
Right.
Going to Valhalla.
Yeah,
Right.
Valhalla.
Valhalla. Right? They ready.
What was that? Vikings. He said, it brings great pleasure that the Valkyries will summon me home.
Because they know that their end is death anyway.
Yeah, right.
Israel know that there's a chance that I can escape them.
With the right,
You know what I'm saying?
and with the what you call it, the Viking people, right? They feel as though that a warrior's death is what's gonna put them in paradise, man. Not knowing it's a big ass flame for your ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? On the left hand side, for the left hand side,
I
right?
don't see that flame warrior in paradise. That's what he's gonna really like you.
Yeah, man. Like it's like that.
You see how the Lord used deception of greatness. They perceive that to be an act of greatness that's going to yield them a benefit. They don't even know the Lord is using that spirit on them to wipe their ass out.
Yeah.
No, God. He done made you think running in this burning damn building is a benefit to you.
Yo, remember, what was it? Damn, The Last Kingdom. Uchi the Berry Bird. Remember? The Pops, he was burning Larry, in the house and everything. He said he had a bone in his death. He gonna get cooked again.
He's going to get cooked again.
In the lake of fire.
Right? That man kind of got fried. They'll take him out the grease and put him in the oven and let him bake a little bit.
Right.
He got cooked on the second episode, man. They showed it immediately. I was like, damn.
That's a hell of a delusion, man.
God.
Running this burning building and greatness is waiting on you.
Right.
It's the same delusion he put on the damn Muslims.
Oh, yeah.
Allahu Akbar! Boo! You're my
And then-
1,000 million brothers.
And then,
His delusion is the whole thing of activity. Give me my 1,000 million versions. Boom!
not knowing that on the other side, it's a fat fire for you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I can think about my Mariam, Awa, and Fatu, whatever here it is.
For real,
All
man.
the Muslim chicks.
That's a hell of delusion.
Yeah, man.
Strong, let's say we'll give them strong delusions.
There's a precept for that real quick, right? There's the book of Isaiah, chapter 66.
Before you bring it out, that's the same damn strong delusion that he put on Heliodorus,
Right.
to run up in that damn temple.
Like he was going to get untouched.
The same damn delusion he put on Nicanor.
Oh, yeah. Pointing
Right?
the finger.
Pointing to come out running up in the
Right.
temple.
He lost that same hand, man.
And his tongue.
And his tongue.
Right? Chopped that thing up and grounded it up like ground beef meat, man. Made tacos and gave it to the birds.
Got the vultures in the air looking down. Oh,
See what
we
we
about to eat. There's a lot about to kill him. Hey, remember, the vultures can smell death on people. You know?
Man, they kind of linked up with the death angel, man. They know when he coming out.
Teamwork. We about to eat.
And who the Lord say that their bodies would be food for? Their carcasses would lie out there for the damn fowl of the air, man.
Vultures.
To come and eat them away. So there ain't gonna be no great. You want to say? I think that's in South Africa. Ain't gonna be no burial for them. The bodies are gonna just lay out in the field and turn and dry up like dung, and the fowl of the air are gonna eat at them.
Ain't gonna be no people gathering for them, giving a nice speech, and
Yeah.
remember his life back in the day. Nah,
That's them damn, what you call this? Eagles, the
Yeah,
crows,
vultures.
the vultures, right? Them dudes, man.
Right. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 4. I will also choose their delusions and bring their fears upon them. Right? So they gonna get that delusion like they finna get paradise after doing people in and kind of, they like, okay, I'm cool with dying because that's a manly death, right? Or that's a warrior's death. But the Lord said he'll bring no fears upon them. Like they gonna be like, oh no, Lord. They gonna be calling for damn Odin.
Right.
Right? Odin, Zeus, you promised me. Right. You promised me paradise. You know what I'm saying? But no, you gonna see a big black prince of all power and of all spirits right there. I gave you that delusion.
But he even told them that, man. In the time of their despair, they're gonna. He said, "Don't call me. Call on your damn."
Right. I think that's
That's what I said. Also,
yeah, call them other gods, man, and let them come save you. I'm gonna laugh at your
spirit, man. And in Proverbs 1, he said, "They shall call me, but I'm gonna laugh at their calamities."
Right.
God, man.
You're gonna have Heliodorus gonna wake up. Oh, Zeus! See a black man stalking his ass. Lord Hercules!
You gonna tell her that thou has been smitten with
Right.
axe.
Yeah.
Damn Zeus.
Let's get into it.
God, so this is the book called Antiochus by Walter K. Price and John Gillies.
And boy, Esau got a price to pay. Let's get it, man.
All right, this is Antiochus chapter 5. Right? Prince Antiochus received word about the temple robbery.
Right, about the temple robbery, like the second Maccabees 3, you know?
And took great delight in telling Gaius about it. The Judean version is quite a story. He said
he said the Judean version of the story is quite a story. So he's saying the story after Jews happened, what happened is quite a story, right?
He said as they walked toward the Circus Maximus, quote, the Jews make it sound as though their God himself intervened to protect their treasure.
So this is the Edomites saying this, right? Right, read.
And their temple. In fact, it sounds very much as though no robbery occurred. What did happen? Gaius asked. Heliodorus arrived with a great ceremony and simply demanded the treasure, which he assumed to be considerable. Antiochus said, I've told you about Heliodorus, haven't I? Gaius nodded. He was my classmate, and he always thought he served beneath his ability.
Right? So he always wanted more.
That's what I say. You can't take these niggas seriously.
Right.
He making it seem like we lying or something.
Right. Just lie. Keep reading.
We have many such public servants in Rome. Gaius laughed. There probably was considerable treasure in the temple, but Heliodorus expected those miserable Jerusalemites to surrender. What? God damn. He said,
being disrespectful.
niggas saying Jerusalemites. Jerusalemites, huh?
That's you. Oh, yeah. What's he called? What is he? Black man?
Y'all remember
Jerusalemite.
Spirit.
Hey, y'all remember up in that what was that, Avatar 2, man? He said that we'd have been born as our enemies, man.
Oh yeah, the Edomite.
You know what I'm saying? That nigga could very well be.
That's what I said.
Antiochus. You know what I'm saying?
We are.
There probably was considerable treasure in the temple, but Heliodorus expected those miserable Jerusalemites to surrender and simply hand over their wealth, which, of course, they wouldn't do. I wouldn't, would you? Anyway, Heliodorus then threatened everyone that he would enter the temple the high priest pled with them not to desecrate their holy place.
Right? That's the holy of holies. Right?
Who is this high priest? I don't know his name. Nigga, you know his name. You asked him.
Right.
All right, to spare your damn life, man. You know his name. You prayed Ananias. All right? You and your homies, man. Stop playing. I do not know his name, but his position is that of the person you call Pontifex Maximus. Let's just pause. I gotta see what Pontifex Maximus actually means, man. Like, I don't want to just overread it. Like,
Pontifex Maximus.
right, I gotta take that in. What is Pontifex? Right.
Like the Caesars. Right.
Pontifex Maximus. They popped up. They got a school called Pontifex University. Yeah. All right. It's a Pontifex Maximus. The Pontifex Maximus was the chief high priest of the College of Pontifex in ancient Rome. This was the most important position in the ancient Roman religion. Open only to patricians until 254 BC, when plebeian first occupied this post. So that's what Pontifex Maximus is.
You got to highlight. Which one? Talking about high priest. So this is like highest.
How you high priest at a college? For one.
See?
You high priest at a school, man.
Yeah.
So,
This is that Heliodorus thought that the Jerusalemites would give over their gold and give it.
Like this, you give it up.
You know who we are. You think we just gonna give it over to you?
that's
That's
how
out of your mind.
Yo, look at how prideful they were. They said those miserable Jerusalemites to surrender and simply hand over their wealth. Like come on, man.
You never watched 300. It's kind of crazy, man. Get away.
Esau to this day still kind of seems like, you know, when you do the preparation work and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Of course.
that's a good point. They still see us as miserable Jerusalemites, man.
Yeah. Miserable African Americans. Miserable.
It says, who is this high priest? I do not know his name, but his position is that of the person you call Pontifex Maximus. Right? Gaius was only half listening to Antiochus. No, it's Gaius.
I know what you see with it.
No, that's Gaius, huh? All right? Gaius was only half listening to Antiochus. He wanted to get to their circus as quickly as possible. The funeral of Publius,
You see how these names be read
what the hell is a Publius?
Yeah, they call it.
I'll be embarrassed.
But, you know, yeah, man.
Publius Licinius. This sounds like something not he made up.
Serious.
Yeah.
Sound like a damn disease.
Right. Pubius Livius. Right. Public Livius.
Poor Didius.
Poor Didius.
Publius Licinius would be celebrated today with more than 250 Bastari. I'm gonna say it like that. Much blood would be shed. There is a special room in the temple called the Holy of Holies.
Nah, this is the points right here.
Heliodorus was certain that the treasure was hidden in that room.
Right.
Quote, how is it that you know so much about the Jews? Gaius asked.
Right.
Suddenly,
Watch this. Listen to this.
because the gods have blessed me curse me, depending on your viewpoint. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like,
They mad disrespectful, man.
he said, depending on your what does that mean?
Well,
Well,
look,
I mean, you got be like you got 12 10. Right?
No, he's saying that God, because it's two Edomites having a conversation, right?
Also, they trying to throw shots.
Yeah.
That's what they doing.
They're having a conversation and they're laughing at Heliodorus. He's not there, but it's two other Edomites having a conversation. So now he's asking them, how the hell you know so much about this temple, about all this information, about the holies of holies, right? We are.
Because the gods have blessed me or cursed me,
right,
depending on your viewpoint, with two slaves who were Jews.
See, with two slaves who were Jews. And what did those slaves do? You know?
My slaves in Antioch, Benjamin, came from Judea itself.
Right?
Caleb, the slave given to me by your father, comes from Cyprus. If you give these Jews a raised eyebrow of encouragement,
woo! He said, if you give them just a little nice word, if you just give them, just a bit of encouragement, right? Hey, you did a good job, right?
Right.
Hey, brother Ariana, right? You're a Hebrew. You work for 7 days straight. Oh, hell of a worker.
Right.
Hell of a worker. Right? I'm gonna increase your raise. I'm gonna increase your paycheck to 50 cents. Hell of a worker.
He said something like Christian church too, like Christian pastor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pray to the Lord, you get a new car.
Right. It's if you give these Jews a raised eyebrow of encouragement, you will soon learn their entire religion.
Woo!
I want to tell y'all who these niggas are in the spirit. God saves everybody, people.
Right.
All right. The Lord loves everybody, people. Huh? You will learn their entire religion. You give them just a few nice words. Huh? The Lord can save you too, brother. Calling Esau brother, huh?
Yeah.
As if he'd have been a brother.
Right. He said, hey, that white man is a good man. He never did nothing bad to me. Little Wayne said that.
These are them Temerios, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Little Wayne said that.
Your golden swords. Right? These is these people, man.
And this is how Esau thinks today. He knows that. This is an Edomite saying, because one Edomite asked him, how the hell you got so much information about these Israelites? And he said, listen, I got 2 Israelite slaves, Jews, that I just give a little good encouragement. Hey, you're doing good, you're working hard. And hey, appreciate you, master, appreciate you, boss. Hey, you know what? Hey, so what about the Jews? What about y'all customs? How y'all keep the Sabbath? What y'all right. What's the Torah? And Jake as a slave is going to tell everything.
You know what, master?
Right.
The 7th day is the Sabbath.
Right.
All right. We put away gold over here for the fatherless and widows,
right.
man.
I can get you some.
You know what? Since you're so cool, I'm going to let you go see.
Right. I'm going to let you go see.
I'm going to let you see.
Right. This boss.
Meanwhile, they mapping out all of their steps to get to your treasury. Right? And they gonna kind of overthrow you, man. Hey, this is our customs. Hey, if we don't do these customs, we finish.
Well, part of that is I need to know how it works.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I have to learn how you observe it and go about doing it in order for me to reverse engineer it so I can do it.
Right.
Watch this. I just want to touch a couple of good things. This is the Babylon and Timbuktu, right? Page 83. Right? North African Black Jews. So it starts off talking about, we all know that Antiochus, he's a descendant of Alexander the Greek freak, you know what I'm saying? Coming through Ptolemy. Alright? So it says, 1, 2, 3, third paragraph. After the death of Alexander, his vast empire was divided amongst his generals. Ptolemy received Egypt, Seleucus received Asia. As time elapsed, there was constant war between these two dynasties. By the year 198 BC, the descendants of General Seleucus had their capital in Syria, just north of
Look at this. Well, I know what to do.
I know for a fact you're able to go to your Facebook.
Yeah, I know what to do.
You can go to my journey. Man, bring that. What's going on? Anything good?
You good out?
Huh? Yeah.
All right. Let me just share this real quick.
All right, shut up.
All right, the entire screen. Boom, share audio. Right there. Entire screen. Boom, share audio. Yeah, I know what to do. Right there.
Feedback.
Share audio. I know what to do. Yeah. All right, it's cool. Right there.
Feedback.
So my microphone's up. Microphone up. I know what to do. Yeah. All right, it's cool. Right there.
Feedback.
So my microphone's up. A barbarian custom. This is
What did they call them? They call them Berber.
Right, Berber.
B-E-R-B-E-R, which really meant barbarian.
So now, who were the barbarians? That was us. Right? Gaius said.
But eventually it transcended over to the Edomites. Then became known as barbarians. I just got to read about the account right here.
You can kind of read about the account, I believe, up in Paul's letters. Also, I believe. So, right?
Remember the show that I was watching with the it was called The Barbarians, where they had all the barbarians at the time were the Jakes, and they would take them to Rome and indoctrinate them and bring them back to their villages.
Little kids, they took all the boys when they were young.
Now they're basically being indoctrinated. Yeah, that's like you going to a so-called American college. You know, you get their degrees and everything. Now you come back and now you think you were there either, Mike. You think you're better than your people type. Right. I want to read. Capified chicken fried rice.
Now, this is what Paul said, right? This is the book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 13. Now, I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I proposed to come to you, but was let hitherto, that I might have some fruit among you also, even as among other Gentiles, meaning other of our people, right? Or fruit among you and among the heathen, because they're of our people, right? I am debtor both to the Greeks and to the barbarians, both to the barbarians,
you know,
both to the wise and to the unwise.
Right. He's vector, right?
A debtor.
A debtor?
Yeah.
Right. Basically, it's like even with the word adapt. Remember, Paul said he speaks to all people. He's speaking to the Greeks and the barbarians. Those are Israelites.
Right.
Right. So hold that. Hold what you got. Amos chapter 5.
What did it say? Who was?
Huh?
What did it say? What?
That was Romans. You talking about the precept, right? Romans chapter 1 and verse 13 and 14.
And then remember, Paul was a gladiator too. They threw his ass in the ring to fight against the damn lions. Same as with the gladiators like Spartacus, Crixus, Gannicus, right? Yeah, but no games. And those gladiators were used for what? For sport. The ones that they call the barbarians, the wild men. Now, a barbarian custom, Gaius said with a shudder, they call it circumcision. We are the heathen, of course, and we are called by them the uncircumcised. Absolutely vulgar, Gaius said. When you see Gaius, no uncircumcised person is allowed to enter the temple. So even look at that. Heliodorus, we already know he's uncircumcised, right? That's strike number one. Number two, you're not a priest. Strike number two. Number three, the high priest only supposed to go in that holy temple once a year. You don't belong there at all. Number four, you a heathen. Right? When you see guys, no uncircumcised person is allowed to enter the temple. Do they hold an inspection upon entry? So like the security, they're like, yo, do they check everybody before they even get to the temple? Gaius roared with laughter. Antiochus shared his hilarity and then continued his story. They couldn't keep Heliodorus from trying to enter. He had his mind set on seeing that room for the Holy of Holies.
Now, for them to make a joke like that,
right?
Do they check everybody before entering, and then they gonna laugh, bro?
Well,
That's real slick talk for people who literally do oral circumcision.
Right.
All right. That suck the skin off.
Right.
All right.
But hey,
also, there's an undertone in the whole setup that they're doing. They're kind of low key without doing it. They're egging Heliodorus on.
Right, hyping them up,
laughing at, like, kind of scoffing and mocking him. You know what I'm saying? All that's doing is making him that much more determined to go in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So watch this. He had his mind set on seeing that room called the Holy of Holies, and he would not be deterred. It really is a holy place, guys. As I heard of it, only the high priest is allowed to enter. And then to enter it only once every year. Lesser priests may not enter. So they didn't know this. They know all of this, right?
And them up in their pride
still went in.
Hype they mans up
right.
to get stumped out.
So now he's asking, look, did Heliodorus enter? Eventually. He had to climb over and walk over the high priest and the rest of the temple priests. They had prostrated themselves in front of the entrance. They again pled with the emissary of my brother, weeping and carrying on as only Judeans can, begging him not to enter, but he did. And he said, all right, and I hope he found the treasure.
The pride, though.
Right.
Weeping as they only can. Nigga, we got a whole, for one thing now, if it wasn't the Lord that put the smack down on you, then it would have been to it. They making us seem docile and weak.
They making us weak.
Not that.
It's like you're not stepping over no people. All right. Yeah. You know how the Levites was, like how they really were. You're not stepping over no.
They were like the assassins of the assassins.
Yeah. So you not.
But watch this. Watch this.
Nobody can stop.
Watch this. He said, "I hope he found the treasure." Look what he said. He found nothing. The room was empty, absolutely devoid of anything. He said there was nothing in the room, right? Perhaps, but listen to the rest of the story. This place called the Holy of Holies was very dark.
It's the darkness.
Yeah,
ain't never going
they know our records. So that's their version of like being the past in great darkness.
So watch this. Watch this. Although Heliodorus could see that it was empty, suddenly, hold that, get Amos chapter 5, man.
So you can't just stop. So we continue that.
He saw that. To be continued.
Right. Bring out Amos chapter 5.
Bring it out.
This
Nice.
Yeah, right on point.
Bring it out.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord.
He wanted to see the Holy of Holies, right? You know?
To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness.
It's what?
It's darkness.
All right. The treasure was hidden elsewhere, perhaps. Don't listen to the rest of the story. This place called the Holy of Holies was very dark.
God.
Right? Read on.
It was darkness and not light.
Now hold it right there. Although Heliodorus could see that it was empty, suddenly he saw bright flashes of light.
And they
Yo,
That's a lucky guy.
so, bring it out.
That's the book of Ezekiel.
Bring it out.
Right? He saw the flashes of light. All right. He saw the flashes of light.
Remember, he said he went in the room, it was all completely empty. He was shocked. He didn't go see treasures. He went in, it was completely dark in the Holy of Holy room.
Indeed, you see.
Bring it out.
God, this is the book of Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse. I'm gonna start at verse 11, just to get context, right? Thus were their faces and their wings. And their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. Just talking about the angels, right? And they went every one straight forward, whither the spirits was to go. They went, and they turned not when they went. For as for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burnt coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, and it went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. You got to read that again,
Right? So now,
at least they got that part right. All right? He saw a flash of light.
Heliodorus could see that it was empty. Suddenly he saw bright flashes of light.
Hold on, this is a lot here, right? Right? This is the book of 2 Maccabees, right? Because it says, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of light, right? It says, 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 25, and there appeared unto them a horse with a terrible rider upon it, and adorned with a very fair covering, and he ran fiercely. That's what he saw. He saw Yahushua ran. He ran.
Watch this. Matthew 17 and 2. Yeah, this book is funny.
He ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. That's all he saw. He didn't even see
about Kid Flash.
He didn't even see the ass whooping that he didn't see. Because, you know what I'm saying? They ran.
Matthew 17 and 2. Bring it
It's
out.
the book of Matthew, chapter 17 and verse 2. And was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his remnant was white as the light.
Was white as the light, right? Face did shine as the sun, right? And watch this. Here we go. Heliodorus could see that it was empty, suddenly he saw bright flashes of light. He heard loud screaming voices, and strangest of all, he thought he saw horses rising up as if to attack him.
He heard. What did he say he heard?
Loud screaming voices.
Their voices had to be saying, "Oh hell no!" Only the Levites is able to be up in here once a year, and you bringing your ass up in here?
Yo,
oh hell no!
Yo, that's what the Edomite on YouTube. The Edomite said it when he died and he went up to heaven. He said it was angels in the gates of heaven, and they was looking at him like, "Nigga, you think you get in here?" And he was like, "Oh shit!" He was like, "Yo," he said it was big as hell, all tall, dark angels looking at him. and they all had ancient garments and apparel looking royal, mighty, young. And they looking at him dead and like, nigga, you think you get him? And he said, that's when he realized the black people, the chosen people of God.
Take his soul back to his body, man. All right.
Here's how the Edomites. The white people, listen, heaven is not for us. He told heaven is not for us, man. He was shook. And strange of all, he thought he saw horses rising up as if to attack him.
A horse with a
Right?
terrible
Like
ride on it, man.
yeah. Heliodorus.
That's
19.
And all horses, man.
And 6.
6 and 8.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Right? And remember, get Revelation chapter 19. Right? That's going to be the one with your outshot. It talks about that white horse. Right? Revelation chapter 19. That man.
6 and 8 says that he looked and beheld the pale horse. And his name that sat on him was death, and he held fallen with him.
Lord works. Right? So Revelation chapter 19, verse 11. Cause.
Revelation chapter 19 and verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse.
A what?
A white
So
horse.
Heliodorus seen a horse.
White
A white horse, we are.
And he sat upon him was called faithful and true, and righteousness. He doth judge and make war.
And did what?
He judged and make war.
Man, this man got beaten the brakes off of him, man.
God.
You want to talk about war? So it says, Heliodorus, he saw horses rising up as if to attack him. And then the Edomite said, Heliodorus must have been drunk. Right? Then why was he content?
He had to be drunk. Something said he had to be drunk.
Yo, he said, he said, then why was he content merely to leave? Empty-handed. Antiochus, now you are embellishing the story. So you're like, yo, you making this up.
You making this up now, man.
Yo, look
You
what
don't
he
even
said.
sound
Right. And that's
Yeah.
Isaiah 53. Who's going to believe our report?
And he's telling him,
Right?
man, you can't make this up.
Can't make this
You
up.
can't make this up.
Can't make this up, man.
You see the man's face. You see his body. Yo.
Yo, look what he said. The person who, he said, Antiochus, now you are embellishing the story. The person who wrote to me was there. That's what he's telling them.
That's his report.
Yeah, the person told me he was there. Heliodorus ran out of the temple with blood on his face and arms.
Now, when we read the other apocrypha, the other one,
Yeah,
The
it told you
translation
exactly what happened now.
right.
They knocked his ass out
His ass.
Put him on the stretcher.
and put him on a stretcher.
So check this. It said the person who wrote to me was this Antiochus telling Edomite. Listen, he told me this. He was there. Right? Heliodorus ran out of the temple with blood on his face and arms. There were deep gashes on his scalp and forehead.
Stumped out.
They so crazy to the nigga,
He
man.
stumped his ass out.
Now, I don't know, man.
Yo.
Because the other one,
Yo,
he didn't run out of there. He got
Yo.
carried out.
Exactly.
but watch this.
It said that he went to the third heaven. Yahweh kind of slapped him around a little bit. While he was in the third heaven getting his spirit jacked up, his body was down there on earth, and they were saying he was laying there dead. And they was telling Onias to spare Yahweh kind of threw his spirit back into the body. When his spirit hit back into his body and he came back into consciousness, his intent was to run up out of there. But the angels grabbed him. And it was like, because of him, we ain't gonna put your ass to death.
So look what it says.
Knocked him out again.
Oh.
And that's when his dudes put him on the stretcher. Drove him on, man.
So watch this. The person who wrote to me was there. Heliodorus ran out of the temple with blood on his face and arms. There were deep gashes on his scalp and forehead, and bruises all over his arms and chest.
He heard his ass.
His stomach. And the horse. So.
Yo, so he said, do you believe the story? I do, said the prince, for a very good reason. I know Heliodorus. He did not remain to find the treasure, even though he knew it was hidden elsewhere.
Meaning meaning the pride on this Negro,
Right, it's different.
he wasn't coming back empty-handed.
Right.
He's too dedicated to this, man. You see how his zeal was that he was going in, right? He wouldn't have never came back here empty-handed. Something had to happen to make this
I know him.
right.
I know this man.
I know him.
He ain't coming back empty-handed.
Now, why you saying that?
And he know the treasure there.
And now look, this is why. Like most of the royal tax collectors, Heliodorus has been known to have sticky fingers.
He would have stole him something.
He would have stole
He would have did it. He came back with nothing.
This is
He would have stole something.
and this be me.
Right. You know he's gonna take something.
Yeah, he said, man, he basically said, I know him. He would have came back with something.
Something, man.
Something.
It could have been a coin. It
You
could
had
have
to
been
take
that
off one of them.
gold.
Yeah, even if it took it from one
But
of
he
them.
came back with nothing
But his ass whooped.
but bumps and bruises
He said,
and knots.
he said he desperately wanted that treasure for himself as well as for my brother, but he didn't stay because he was thoroughly frightened. How do you explain what happened? There must have been an explanation, said Gaius, now preoccupied with the strange event. Now he's thinking.
Now what is that? Now what is that explanation?
Right.
Now credibility is
Right.
like, okay, you're a credible source.
So watch this.
And you validating this dude, and we looking at this
Right.
dude. No, man.
Now they thinking, they're like, oh,
Antiochus.
shit.
God.
I don't know. This kind of the math is mathing right
Now what is that explanation? There must have been an explanation.
Right.
We gonna hear from his mouth. For he that dwelleth in heaven hath his eye on that place, and defendeth it, and he beateth and destroyeth them that come to hurt it. That's the explanation.
He gave the explanation.
That's what it is, bro.
Right?
He kind of laying over there, kind of gathering his thoughts while they talking into my. Well, what's the explanation? He kind of. He up there.
So why
Beating and destroying
his ass? If Xenophon were living, I would have wagered that a few of his well-trained horses had appeared. You've seen the posture in heroic statues, where the horse balances on his haunches, forelegs outstretched to flail the enemy. We try to train over horses that way, but some of the seekers must have died with Xenophon. But a standing, leaping horse in front of you can inspire fear in the best of soldiers. I think that some kind of beast attacked Heliodorus. Right?
He had hoof prints, man.
Right. It had to be a horse.
He had hoof prints.
It's like don't try to.
Right.
Those are not hoof prints.
Right.
Those are heel prints.
Right.
From the angels, bro.
The angels got the foot up. They got the hoof prints. They got when you read them, they got the hoof prints. They didn't stop them out in man form. They were in celestial form. So they had the hoofs.
They had the straight feet.
They started, yeah, that's what they was looking at.
Yo.
So this is what Guy is saying. You spoil my day. So now, yo. So Guy is hearing this, and he's pissed off. He's like, yo, you spoiled my day, man. Right? Gaius protested, I shall not be able to watch the gladiators because of this riddle you have given me. It had to be a trick.
Yeah. It had to be something.
Right.
We got to get what? We got finesse.
It says, look, I suppose the priests are capable of tricks in Jerusalem as well as in Rome. But there are witnesses to the fact that the high priest and his helpers were lying on the ground in front of the temple when Heliodorus entered. They may have been other priests or other helpers inside to create the disturbance.
But it had to be.
It had to be a trick.
Remember last time we talked this, I said Simon finesse them, bro. Finesse Heliodorus into an asshole.
But look, it gets even crazy. Look what it says. But I am not satisfied with this explanation. Why he not satisfied? Where did the lightning come from?
Inside of the building.
Right. But he's asking that question. Remember, Antiochus, he think that he's God manifest, but which God?
Jupiter.
Zeus.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't the Solomon 5 and 21. So while the Lord is whipping Heliodorus' ass, he's giving a message back to Antiochus. You think you Zeus? I'm gonna show you Zeus. That's why he asked him, where did the lightning come from? So he got struck with lightning as well too.
That nigga finna lie. Be like, I said the lightning. I said the lightning. All right.
Remember that video video you showed? It was like, what was it, like 10 niggas got hit with lightning?
Oh yeah.
It was
Boy,
like,
struck
damn.
that place like 5 times. Like 5 times with lightning. All you saw was do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Watch this. Wisdom Solomon 5:21.
Struck it 5 times in the same spot.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 21.
Because remember, he's asking, I am not satisfied with that explanation. And they said, where did the lightning come from? Ain't no way the priest gonna make some tricks like that and create lightning. Right? Bring it out.
That's the case they'd have been doing.
Right. They would have killed all you Edomites.
Been doing.
They got out of captivity. Right? Bring it out, kid.
Then shall the right aim and thunderbolts
See, the right aim and thunderbolt, you know?
go abroad and from the clouds,
And from the third heaven and do what?
as from a well-drawn bow.
Right, that well-drawn bow is the Lord raising up his right hand, like the righteousness, and swinging it down with that thunder, you know?
Shall they fly to the mark.
See? Shall they fly to the mark? Remember, like it said in Maccabees, it said the Lord got his eyes on the temple.
Right.
Anybody that walks in, he's going to beat them to death.
Didn't you try to tell them in Genesis that he existed before the lightning?
God. That's what I'm saying, man. Bolts of lightning and thunderbolts, everything. Like, yo, they're like, yo, this is crazy. So he says, these Judeans are not known for their warfare. Whence came the horses and the warriors? So now he's asking, how the hell the warriors, the angels left and right popping up, beating his ass, and the horses, where the hell they came from? Right? Our own army has few horses trained to inflict wounds. And how do you get such huge animals inside a small room, which is inside another building?
Because he ain't make it inside the building. He didn't make
He
it.
was in the vestibule. He stunk him out in the hallway, man, in the lobby.
I'm telling you, they whooped his ass just for looking up in there. Like, don't even look up in there. He did not make it inside of that building.
Right.
He peeked around the corner.
Israel came to the gate. He didn't even cross the gate. And the Most High put his ass to death.
What real? Man. Trying to tell you, man.
So you crossed the line. You crossed the gun line. I done did worse to my own people for just coming up to this damn gate.
Right.
And you gonna cross the line? Yeah, you finna get.
It don't matter cries, man. Oh, hell no.
It don't matter what book you read about Heliodorus here. He gonna get his ass with every book. It don't matter what book.
Judah 5, he been made a reproach amongst the nations. I'm inclined to believe if we get a Moabite book and times down is a Moab him, because Moab him came before him. So I'm pretty sure they probably was like, Heliodorus son.
Yeah.
They called him Heliodorus son. And Master, you see what we was talking about? Heliodorus son got his ass whooped. Because they was talking about doing it before Heliodorus ran up. Before Nicanor tried to run up in there.
Right.
So it's only safe to assume that they were sitting back watching like, yeah, this is going to be ugly.
Call this shoot that ain't.
Shoot that ain't.
That's the credit they heard. That's the credit they heard. Shoot that ain't.
So he made a reproach of all the nations, man.
And that's why they tried to erase their saying out of the Bible, bro. Anything but this. All right.
Let me read this real quick.
Bring it out. That's crazy.
The barbarians, right? Now this is the final dispersion of all black Jews of Africa, right? The early North Africa. It said many scholars call the inhabitants of North Africa Berbers. He said, but I shall not do so. I do not like this word Berber. First of all, it is not a native word of Africa. Therefore, it is misleading. The Greeks and the Romans called the people of North Africa Berbers. Who from North Africa? We are Israelites. Come from North Africa.
And when he talking about North Africa, he talking about right there, right at the top, right with the angle with Jerusalem right there as well
Exactly.
too.
They talking about us. He says, Greeks and Romans called the people of North Africa Berbers, which means barbarians. However, the people of this region have their own names. Yeah, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, right? Asher, Naphtali, Gad, right? So forth and so it says that Herodotus says there are 4 nations in Africa. 2 are indigenous, Ethiopians and Libyans. The Phoenicians and Greeks are newcomers. You jump over to the next chapter, on the next page, it says the whites are Berbers and Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a cut that Esau ain't the Arab too.
Exactly.
It also says the Berbers and Arabs were not white in ancient time. Well, then if they weren't white in antiquity, what color were the barbarians?
Right.
Right? What is the basis for calling them whites? The obvious reason is that he wanted to attribute ancient advanced civilization to the white race in order to perpetrate the philosophy of white supremacy. What are we talking about here? Iconoclasm. Talking about the whitewashing of all of the historical knowledge and facts of the Israelites. Because even when you go into Mali, when you talking about dealing with Mansa Musa and all of them, Israel was there.
Right.
We created the first damn irrigation systems. We put in the first blueprints for building the very first buildings. All of that, even though people want to try to get at to the Moors. When I say Moors, I'm talking about the actual Moroccans, who we, through the dispersion, created civilization amongst them. And we taught them all of our ingenuities.
And Salak, you know what's crazy out? There's 2 groups of Moors. Because the word Moor means black. Right? But we're a nationality, Israelites. Right? You got Hamites that are black, but they're Hamites, right? You got Arabics that's dark too, black, right? But they're Ishmaelites. So the word Moor means black. There was 2 groups of Moors. There was one of the Ishmaelites tied with the Moroccans, and there was one of the Israelites. So they'll try to mix it all together. It's like you bringing a Hamite right here, you bringing a East Indian right here from the land of Elam, and you bringing a Soulful African American right here. And you say you're all black people, right? Our skin color might be black, but we're of nations. We're of different nationalities. You got 3 different nations right in front of your face. Remember, everybody had melanin, except for this white devil.
Right? And it says Arabs, the Moors, and the Sudanic writers attribute to the ancient black African Hebrews the establishment of the first empires, the erection of the first public buildings in the country, the construction of the first canals and irrigation systems, and the institution of a social economic regime which still survives in all Saharan communities.
Damn.
Probably my 4th time going through. That's why I be knowing where to go pull this stuff up at. I got highlights all over this damn book.
Yo, I'm telling you, man, you get these type of books, man, you gotta get up with the Bible, all of that.
Yeah.
Because look what happened to this guy right here. Part 2, page 146. Do you wish me to secure the treasure from the temple of Jerusalem? Asked Apollonius. There is strong belief that Jerusalem temple has special divine protection.
Wait. Who told Apollonius that?
Right.
It's literally, Doris told him that, man.
Like, watch out, man. So now this is another guy they about to send over there, right? He said, I do not believe that story.
All right, so lucky, all right. You got to read that last part that you read.
Do you wish for me to secure the treasure from the temple in Jerusalem? Asked Apollonius. There is strong belief that Jerusalem temple has special divine protection.
Who told him that? This is 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 38. If thou hast any enemy or
or a traitor, send him thither, and thou shalt receive him well scourged, if he come back with his life, if he escape with his life. For in that place, no doubt, there is an especial power of God. So it was told to him. Hey, Heliodorus said that, man.
So watch this. I do not believe that story. Antiochus snorted. I think Heliodorus was bloody and full. There are no heavenly hosts to defend Jews or anyone else. I have never seen them, have you? Which only makes Heliodorus a fool, and us, simpleton for believing his story for so long. Antiochus wiped his forehead. The afternoon had grown warm. Yes, Apollonius. I want you.
Wait,
look what he said.
Yeah, he wiped his forehead.
Right.
You like, yo, y'all for real, bro? He over there like these, man.
Right. Now, what's the key in this? After all of that, he said, I don't believe it, right? Yes, Apollonius, I want you to find treasure for me in Jerusalem. So what is he doing? He's sending the nigga back over there. Like literally. Yo.
The prisoners, though. It's crazy.
He's sending them back over there. Right? Alright, so now let's get into it. Give First Maccabees chapter 2. Right? That was the one with Heliodorus, and we're just gonna touch on Maccabees. Matter of fact, Salaki, hold on. Let me touch on what Antiochus did in the temple. This nigga was right. And he knew it. Like, he was. You read this book, man, you feel like you back in that place. And you seen it for yourself, man. For real. Like, this is crazy.
They probably got a Heliodorus book. Give his ass with even worse.
This is
Or even more detail.
This is bad. This is the Antiochus book. Right here.
Heliodorus.
Oh, Heliodorus book.
Yeah. They gotta have something.
All right, here we go. This is page 256. Right? All right, he recalled the story of Heliodorus. He wondered if the horseman had attacked him in his room or the one behind. He had both doubted and believed the story. There had been no witnesses, and the people who had spoken about it were dead. Onias has been killed. Heliodorus had probably died. So many people were dead, especially today, in Jerusalem, outside the walls of this holy place. Right? So now, because of his pride, look what he did. Verse 258. There was no question in the mind of Antiochus about the words of the command he had received. Now he was reassured. Now he felt a calm he had not known for many days. Finally, in this holy place of the accursed Jews, he knew he was truly Epiphanes, he was truly God. Jerusalem would soon know it. His officers returned, and the soldiers brought in the image of Zeus and the swine. All the people being assembled, the king asked, "Yes, Majesty," said to Stratus, "bring them into the courtyard in front of the pillars and steps. I will address them in due time." He ordered the image of Zeus to be placed on the top of the Jewish altar. The coals were again blazing, and the soldiers had to be careful not to burn themselves. Antiochus then walked to the corner where animals were killed and asked that the pig be brought to him. He had sacrificed many swine to Greek deities throughout his lifetime. With the aid of a soldier, he took his new sword and quartered the animal. Half of it was placed upon the glowing coals. The fat began to burn almost immediately, and the aroma of burning swine flesh began to permeate the room. He called for a basin of water and had it placed upon the altar as well. The remaining parts of the pig was placed in the basin to simmer and cook. He stood for several minutes, silent, lost in his thoughts, and no one dared to interrupt him. He gestured to Menelaus, "Bring me the sacred writings." The king commanded. "All of them, Majesty," Menelaus asked. Antiochus reached into his memory of his youth.
Who asked?
Menelaus.
That's the
Menelaus.
nigga that he linked up with when he tried to go and take Egypt over.
Khan. So look what he said. That was him, right?
Yeah.
Now watch this. Antiochus reached into the memory of his youth and remembered that Benjamin, his slave, had called the writings by a special name. I wish the Torah to be brought to me. Menelaus bowed and left the sanctuary. The king remembered that the Torah, this is Antiochus, the first 5 books of the Jewish leader Moses were considered to be the holiest of all Jewish writings. The Torah contained the law given by Adonai himself, he had been told. That's speaking of the Most High. The culture was boiling furiously by the time the scrolls was brought to him. The king spread out upon the floor. Bring 20 of the Jews who are gathered in the courtyard, said the king. I want Jewish witnesses to what will be performed. The Judeans were brought as Antiochus directed. All of them seemed frightened. 2 of them, smelling the odor of burning pork in the sanctuary, vomited where they stood. Look at that. They smelled the pork and they just threw up immediately. Right?
And look here.
Bring it up.
And Josephus said that Moses was educated, and it is highly probable that he received the best education the ancient world could give.
See, he wasn't an idiot. That's why the Lord used him, because he was a general. Moses was a general. The Lord used him to dissect Egypt from all aspects. As a person of war, you got to know your enemy. Same as Esau today, he'll send his spies and soldiers to these different countries and destabilize it. Right? You got to know your enemy. You got to know their strengths, their weaknesses, their food, their resources, their powers, their political schemes, everything. Right?
Well, this is what it says. The army of Antiochus marched into Palestine to support Menelaus, the leader of the pro-Syrian party. As a result, many Jews were killed. Others escaped to the hills and to Egypt. Only those Jews that supported Antiochus' policies remained in Jerusalem.
So look, that's going to back up what the brothers were right there, right?
A quick sidebar. I'm not understanding this Apollonius Apollonius nigga, man. You think he learned his damn lesson already?
That's right.
He got his ass jacked up by Jonathan, man, in 1 Maccabees 10.
God.
You would think he would have been hesitant about trying to run up and do anything in Israel, man.
That's that pride, huh?
Talking about, yeah, I want you to go steal out of it.
All right,
Stomp my ass out.
all right, he got, you know, he got that Captain America spirit.
Yeah,
I can do this all day.
All day.
In this ass whoop, man. Like, he got that Captain America spirit, man. And then put all up and down the place, man. He's still
taking a beat down.
right.
This pride makes what we was even talking about earlier. Like they think it's glory in getting probably beat. You know, sit down there, warrior death or something. Oh, this is glorious.
That's a delusion.
This is delusion, bro. Like
You just got embarrassed, bro.
And
That's what it is. You got embarrassed.
And this goes, that's why we started with Heliodorus, his pride, gave his ass whooped. In the middle, we're going to go with Antiochus, the crime that he committed, the abomination, and then we're going to end it off with Mattathias and how he basically came with his sons and made sure we stopped all of this. All right?
You gonna have to go back then to like 288 and read to 2.
Now we are at 259 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's building up. It's building up to it. This man read like 5 pages. I'm telling you. The man read like 5 pages. And he already know which like that. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, I just gave him the last. I said, hey, check this out. That man read. Oh shit. Like, damn.
I had to make myself close the book. Cause I'm like, I'm gonna be at the end of this damn book, man. And then I'm gonna be all thrown off. Cause now I'm gonna have to go back and read it from the front, which is gonna ruin it. I gotta start from the beginning.
Literally, man. Right? So it says, Antiochus said, bring 20 of the Jews who are gathered in the courtyard. It's like the Judeans were brought as Antiochus directed. All of them seemed frightened. 2 of them, smelling the odor of burning pork in the sanctuary, vomited where they stood. That's showing the damn disgustingness of pork itself, the smell.
Right.
You know what it's like? That's like if you've been around shit for too long.
No, it's like going on 47th and Ashland.
Yeah.
God.
When you ride over there, that's what you
Yeah.
smell. All the
Yes.
slaughterhouse, you smell all that pork in the air from them over there, boiling pork head and slaughtering the pigs and all of that stuff. That's literally what it smells like over there.
Just imagine, man. Because, like, we'll ride through these areas. Even we sat at camp one time, man, and we smelled the whiff of pork, and our stomachs be boiling, man. Imagine never smelling the burn,
That's
the
the
burn
key.
of
That's
pork.
the key.
Literally.
Because your
Think
body
about
is
it, man.
clean. Your body is clean. It's healthy.
That's
Right.
That's the chemical right there. That's why I said it's like you've been around crap for too long, and then guess what? You start to get used to the smell. You start not to smell it. Yeah. And somebody walk into the room and like, oh,
It smells like fresh. That's like a person who you know is musty,
yeah.
but he sat up in his musk for so damn long
Right, like
that he don't smell
Man,
nothing.
he got this name. Yeah, you talking about Ishmael stinking ass.
Yeah,
And Ham stinking ass.
right.
Ham literally be funky and talking about you stink.
Right.
You got on the Nigga, I got on degree.
Hell no.
Yeah, you mean I stink.
For real, man.
Nasty bastard.
So
Real niggas, man.
it says, vomited where they stood. Some beat their chest.
But, so now the thing is about, from a biological standpoint, when atrocious smells enter into your system, it literally throws the switch off. It shuts your immune system down. It's just like a person that, your flatulence, that's methane gas. When you smell that, it kills your immune system. It shuts it down for up to like an hour or two. Within that time, you're susceptible to catch any type of virus or cold. So once again, coming in contact with pork for the first time, smelling that thing kicking up like that, it shut their immune system down instantly. So what do the immune system automatically do biologically when it's a foreign object is introduced to it? It attacks it and kicks it back out. Thus the vomiting. Because the first place it goes is to the gut. So first thing it did, yeah, that's got to come up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Something wrong up there.
Something wrong. They kind of saw them little niggas, little dust mites or whatever, pork particles.
Yeah.
Hey, who is these niggas raiding the spot? And they went to war.
Yeah.
But a war kicked off, man, and they kind of pushed them joints back up out there.
It's kind of similar to that. I don't know if y'all remember, but y'all probably do it. Back to y'all once before. It's in Telenese island. Right?
Oh, yeah.
They'll come out like Esau captured like two of them, right? A young and an elder. Right? And he brought them over here, but as soon as they breathe this air, they die. That's kind of like that pork. Right? If you never smelled pork before, you're liable to die. You probably just die.
And
Let's think about it.
Of that is just crazy.
Our body is adaptive, all right? It's always regenerating itself for adaptation to any condition. They're living in a germ-free, disease-free, you know what I'm saying? They probably don't even have an immune system activated because they ain't around none of that type of stuff.
I think it's the factories that we have here.
So-
You know, our air is polluted here.
Yeah,
They have an island to themselves.
that's what I'm saying. They fresh air coming from the trees.
Pure.
Oh, the islands is over the water, so they getting the pure rain. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably don't even have an immune system set up to fight against any type of germs or anything. So the moment they came over here, germs was like, oh hell, virgins, fresh meat.
Right.
Damn near every germ known to man attacked his body at one time and kind of shut his whole damn body down. Heart couldn't take it no more. Like, yeah, we dead. Brain, was we dead? Brain like heart, yeah, we dead. Stop beating. We out of here.
Right.
So now it says, they vomited where they stood. Some beat their chest. Some wailed. And some tore their garments.
Smoke. You know, you smoke weed.
Right.
Beating your chest trying to get that thing up out of there.
He says, every Jew showed his revulsion at this uncleanness within the holy temple. Silence, shouted the king. Antiochus now ordered the soldiers to carefully remove the cauldron and pour the hot broth upon the scrolls.
So just imagine.
They
imagine 200-300
They-
Israelites just all start coughing and throwing up at one time all of a sudden.
came to scroll. You can't even touch
Oh,
the scrolls.
hey.
These niggas are profane.
They knew what they was doing.
They gotta go, man.
The pious Jews began to chant and cry, and several of them fainted. Right? It says several of them fainted. Like, yo,
These niggas really just did this, bro. Yo, you know what I'm saying? You can't even touch it. He is unclean to you.
that's the pride of this devil, man. Antiochus
That
did.
don't make you piss the hell
Yo.
off, man.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Damn, man.
Yo, Antiochus then knelt before the altar of burnt offerings, bowing to the image of Zeus, and savored the smell of the sacrifice. The deed was done even as he had been commanded. He stood smiling, feeling his strength and superior power.
He is this motherfucker. He is like
This
this.
is devil, man.
Ooh, wow, bro. Like, to the point, it became the temple of Zeus, of Jupiter, whatever it is, man, because they profane it. That's why there's no man that profane with Esau. They love profaneness, man.
So here we go. Your Majesty honors me greatly, said Apollonius. He would serve the king as his adjutant, as a ruler in the area. He was proud of the appointment, right? The assembly was small, but the Jerusalemites shared, prompted by the pride of sword and soldiers. Antiochus wondered, how many Jews remain? So many have been killed. Citizens, Antiochus began, order has today returned to Judea and the city. That order will be sustained. Your former high priest Jason, who many of you have followed, has fled. My governor remains, and the garrison will be strengthened. Today I appoint Apollonius, who once served here as a governor. Thus the presence of Antioch will be seen and felt daily and hourly in this place.
So like, then we just read in Timbuktu, it said that Onias,
Yeah.
and now you read about Jason, all of them packed it up and Jan got up out of there, man. Like,
See? So it's tying back with different books, right? Once again, you will be known as Antioch in Jerusalem. But it will now have greater meaning than ever before. There were a few scattered shares. Your temple is now the temple of Zeus. I myself have offered the first sacrifice, and this has been witnessed by some of your people. A new altar will be built and a new image erected, but no longer is the temple of Adonai. It is now the temple of Zeus, the paramount god of the Greeks. Second, first, daily sacrifice to Adonai will cease. There is to be no worship of Adonai, nor reading of the Torah or the sacred writings. Second, the Sabbath will no longer be observed as a holy day. We decree this particular change on this particular Sabbath. The king tried to make a joke about it and then grew serious. Your holy days and festivals will be those that are celebrated in Antioch. Finally, Judeans, I decree that no longer will you circumcise your male children. No sign must distinguish you from your brothers. Beginning today, we will be one people, living and worshiping in the same manner everywhere. You will worship as Greeks from this day forward and forevermore. He called Menelaus to his side. Behold, your high priest. He shouted. He continues to be the high priest, but he serves me and will perform his duty as a decree.
Sound like the beginner of Amalek to me, man.
Yeah.
All right.
That's Antiochus. Let's get a quick one. First Maccabees chapter 1. Right? Just to show what he did in this book, showing it back in the Bible. Right? In verse 41.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 41. At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come and make battle with us on the Sabbath day.
It's like First Maccabees 1 and 41. It's like First Maccabees chapter 1. Huh?
That's true.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. That ties in with the Sabbath day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's going to tie in with the end part of the book. What Matthew was talking about.
That's how they guys was doing a lot of their dirt
Yeah.
and being able to get away with it.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all shall be one people.
See, like the book said, we are.
And everyone shall leave his law.
Right? Hey, no more keeping the Sabbath. No more praising Yahweh Shem Shah. You know.
So all the heathen agreed.
So all the heathen agreed. You know.
According to the commandment of the king.
Right.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath.
You know.
For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
And remember, that's also going to tie in with the man that pulled up to Mattathias. Right? He was a messenger from the king. Jump to verse 47. Verse 46.
Now, it mentioned, it says something around the lines of that all should be as one.
Yeah.
Do you not know that that's literally what's written on the back of a dollar bill?
Yeah.
Literally, right?
And that's the plan of Esau.
When you look at the back of the dollar bill, sometimes you gotta take a magnifying glass to the back of a dollar bill. It's written right in the mouth of the damn eagle, right? Pluribus.
Yeah.
That literally means, it literally means out of many, one.
Yeah.
That's literally what they go by with that eagle up in their mouth. In the mouth of the eagle. And what does it have? It literally has an olive branch in one claw, and then arrows in the other one, showing the vision of northern and southern kingdom. Literally. This is how, like, where I believe it, I don't know what book it is, it literally says that he's wise as Daniel.
That's Ezekiel 28.
Ezekiel 28,
yeah.
Where it says he's wise as Daniel, man. And Daniel was a very intelligent brother, right? These people, it says that the ways of their mind is deep, their heart is deep. They do a diligent first.
Get Zechariah 9:13 real quick. Hold on. Finish this one real quick.
Well, let me bring this out real quick. First Maccabees 1:41. It says, this is page 86 in Babylon Timbuktu, the last paragraph. It says, in 616 AD, the big shock came. The king ordered the baptism of all the Jews in his domain, under the penalty of expulsion and the loss of all their properties. According to the Catholic authorities, 90,000 embraced Christianity at this time. This was forced baptism in the 7th century. The Jews were threatened with the penalty of slavery if they were found practicing Judaism. The cruel policy caused many Jews to flee to the Mediterranean and western coast of Africa. Let's tie it right in with First Maccabees 1:41, where he said that you couldn't call yourself a Jew no more, you couldn't keep the Sabbath no more. All they're found doing is be put to death.
Called Antiochus now in Jerusalem. Yo, you know what that is?
You a damn Bethlehemite.
Yeah. Yo, he said
Jerusalem.
He said you call Antiochus of Jerusalem. You know what that is today? Called African American. That's what that is today. You can still keep your part, who you are, but we're just gonna add the African. We're just gonna add the American. We're just gonna add the Antiochus. We gotta add the white man name in, right? Because you belong to me. And what's crazy? That picture you have right there. Hold that. Get First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 46. Read 45, 46, and 47.
Right? First Maccabees 1:45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days.
They should profane the Sabbath, the holy day of the Sabbath, and the festival days, the feast days. That's why I said, no more you're going to keep the Sabbath and all your holy days. You're going to keep our days in Antioch. The Edomite days,
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
See, all of this stuff, we don't verse 47.
That's what that was
49.
Okay. that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with the manner of uncleanness and profanation.
Right. He said, make your souls, not the flesh, make your soul abominable. Right? Because the soul got to go back to the Lord. We don't.
So,
Go.
let me read this real quick. It's Ezekiel 20 and 32. Tie right into that. It says, and that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries to serve wood and stone. But that's what was going on right there. He was forcing them to turn over unto their gods and their idols and worship them.
And you know what happened throughout the process of time, man? Second Maccabees chapter 4 verse 15. They love the ways of the Grecians best of all, man. Right?
We don't.
49. To the end they might forget the law.
And the key point to all this was what?
To the end they might forget the law, right, and change all the ordinance.
Right. To forget the law and go serve who? Zeus. Right? So you was talking about with the dollar bill, right? With the branches. Who's in the look, this is the eagle right here. Who's the eagle?
Esau.
That's Esau, right? Get Jeremiah 15:33 and get Zechariah 9:13. And on his hands is what? The arrows and the branches, right?
Yeah. This is the book of Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 13. When I have bent Judah for meat and filled the bow with Ephraim.
See, when I have bent Judah for meat and filled the bow with Ephraim, you know?
And raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece.
Right?
And made thee as the sword of a mighty man.
Right. So that bow that he got right there, which are the bow and arrow within the branches, that's on with the northern and southern kingdom, right? Now hold this. Get Jeremiah 15:33.
That's talking about right now at this time. What was the biggest battle the last battle that Israel had against them? Was at the battle of Megiddo. All right. When they ran up to the top of the mountain, it took them like 7-8 years before these damn Roman and Greek bastards could even get on the top of the mountain and do anything. But when they got up there, it wasn't but like 1,000 of our people up there. And according to history, they committed suicide. They rather die than fall into the hands of their enemy. You know what I'm saying? And Megiddo was a mountain. They had only one way to come up this boy. And goddamn Titus and them, they were building ramparts. It took them 7 years to kind of basically build you know how Esau, when he building his E-ways, he piled dirt to kind of make it like a ramp. Then he could pour the cement. Yeah, they were kind of building a rampart like that, but it took them 7 years of them fighting to get on top of this fortified mountain before they could make it up there. When they got up there, everybody was already dead because Judas Maccabee, they were Bushmen. This was the barbarians. We watched the movie The Barbarians.
Yeah,
that's where they took their fighting skill from. They were the first ones to do like
guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. That's what they were doing. Right there. He saw them out there setting up tent, and these cats hopping out of the bushes, out the trees, stabbing them up, and then dipping back up into the mountains and everything.
Right. I got another precept for this. For Zechariah. Right. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16 and verse 13. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. And the end of the world is what?
Esau.
Esau, and Jacob is the beginning of him that followed.
People will read that and then think the ends of the world, like they're gonna just go to like Antarctica and just fall off. Right. End of the world. That's talking about a people. Esau is the end of the world. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9.
And on the real, if you really want to read, like, and this is how brothers come up with, hey, Babylon is talking about Esau, it's talking about America also. Verse 1 says, woe be unto Babylon. All right, literally.
Now check this, Jeremiah 15:33. There's no time.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 33. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
Right? Oppressed together. That evil that's holding on to them,
and all that took them captive held them first. Held them fast.
Held them what?
All that took them captive held them fast.
Right.
They refused to let them go.
See?
Right.
So he got northern southern kingdom. Look, the eagle right here in the middle, that's Esau. And then on the dollar bill, got northern southern kingdom, the arrow and the branches, and he's not letting them go.
That's that wild branch and that natural branch.
He's not letting them go. See that? All while he's worshiping the damn sun. Right? Baphomet, all of this stuff. This is crazy,
I
right?
am Hotep.
Right.
You know what? Like, it's 13 stars right above him, man. And we know that there's only 12 tribes. But there was 13 children of Jacob. You know what I'm saying? In total.
You can include that.
And there's 2 grandchildren.
Right.
Because
I
Ephraim
think
and
that
Manasseh was
represented
split
the
into
children of Israel, man.
because Ephraim and Manasseh was split into 2 half tribes,
Right.
making it 13. Well, before they were split, it would have been 13. Because you would have had everybody that we got. Only person that's not on the chart is Joseph.
Nah,
But Joseph
and Dan.
Joseph, and I'm talking about he's being represented by Ephraim and Manasseh.
Right.
That's what gives it the 12. But if you take Ephraim and Manasseh off, there's only 10 on the chart. Because Dan not on there and Joseph's not on there.
Yo, Slocky, check this. Remember the point you was bringing out with Antiochus talking about the Maccabees and how their fighting style was? Well, you said their fighting style was like what?
That was guerrilla warfare.
Guerrilla warfare, right?
Yeah, they were the first ones doing it.
Look at this. Page 302. This is about Antiochus. He could not avoid warfare. Much as he might want to do so now, the kingdom was in shambles. If he did not survive, Antiochus would leave very little to his son to govern. So much has gone wrong. Judea has been the key. He had known that from the very beginning. This Judah Maccabee had become an amazing general. With an army of 10,000 Jews, Antiochus has heard how they fought their battles in new ways.
That's why he couldn't help but to fight, because every time he thought he was chilling, Judas no come out and push him.
Right, whooping his ass. Right. Remember the barbarians? They were doing the same tactics. Right? Now look what he says. He says he fought his battles in new ways. Now check this. It says in new ways. That means the Romans that comes after and the Greeks at the time never seen this type of battle style yet.
So what did the Romans do? They started adapting the fighting styles of the people they fought.
Right.
Everybody who they fought and whooped Roman ass, the Romans took their fighting style and implemented it into his regiments and his legions.
So who's the one that created all these fighting styles first? It's us. We created them, and then they take it, and then they remix them. So Antiochus said he never seen no fighting style like this.
How did the Romans take down
who was it? Hannibal?
Hannibal?
Yeah.
Use his own fighting styles and techniques against him.
Right.
That's how they beat him.
So the key point in this, Antiochus ain't never seen a fighting style like this. Who created it? Maccabees and his family, the Israelites.
So where did they get it from? The history of their ancestors being passed down.
Joseph and all of this stuff, Joshua. So look what it says. Their battles in new ways. They fought their battles in new ways. Using spies, like Joshua did, right?
Rahab.
Right?
Caleb them.
Yeah. And what else? Using spies, infiltrating the ranks of the king's armies. Right? Attacking at night. Using small groups of soldiers to attack and divert the Seleucid troops while mounting major offenses from the rear.
That's what they was doing in the
barbarians. So he never seen this. This is us.
That's literally what they was doing.
Esau don't got an original bone in his damn body.
Nothing, man. Nothing.
Like wickedness not even his.
Right?
For real.
So now we're gonna go to we're gonna end it off with Mattathias and his sons. Right? Let's get First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1.
The book of First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, and the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib, and from Jerusalem, and dwelt with Martin. And he had 5 sons: Joanna, called Caddis, Simeon, called Thisa, Judas, who was called Maccabees, Eleazar, called Abiram, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphias.
So now check this. Page 263, all right, chapter 22. It was now the 8th year of the reign of Antiochus. Mattathias entered his home in Modian, slowly and with visible pain. The door did not open easily. He had 5 sons. One would think that someone would find the time to strengthen the hinges. His walk from Jerusalem, a long walk of 2 days, had left him exhausted. It took him 2 days to get to Jerusalem, walking. Right? His youngest son, Jonathan, guided him to the chair. His other sons were in the field. Despite all of the troubles in the land, crops still had to be planted, cared for, and harvested. The men had to eat as well, as trained themselves for battle. Mattathias sighed. The lads had seen him coming and would soon join him. The priest smelled food cooking, and the meal would bring them together. He would not criticize the boys about the door. They had so many other and so much more important things to consider. Boys. They were no longer boys, none of them. They were men, sons of whom any Jewish father could be proud. Right? So now, jumping on down. Elizabeth smiled and returned to her cooking. Oh, look at this. Thank you, good wife. And he said, the waters of Modian are refreshing. I know how King David felt when he thirsted for the water of his youth. Elizabeth smiled and returned to her cooking. The priest could not remember whether she was a year older or younger than he. He was bothered about the recurring loss of memory. They were both growing old, but they had shared a good life. Mattathias was proud of Elizabeth. She was a good mother and a wife. Yo, listen to this part. More importantly, she was a good mother in Israel, pious and wise. No one lit the candles and recited the Sabbath prayers as well or as fervently as she. Yo. You see that? Yo, so Mattathias' wife Elizabeth, it said no one was able to do the Lord's Prayer better than her.
And you notice she was speaking in Hebrew.
God. So think about it. While he's a priest. Right. So think about it, man.
Didn't do nothing.
Right. So while he's a priest, away doing the work of the Lord, the priestly temple and everything, he got his wife at home, and she know the Lord's Prayer. She know the Hebrew, the scriptures. Who is she teaching it to?
The sons.
The sons. That's why they were so mighty.
It's like chapter 3 verse 2, man. The mother is given authority over the sons.
Right. That's why they were so mighty. Right? The father was on point, and the wife was on point as well, too. And she made sure to teach the children.
Right. She ain't. And she's raising ministers' children.
Ah.
I have a precept, bro.
Right. So now look.
What is her name? She raised,
bring forth monsters.
Bring forth monsters. Ministers, women, bring forth monsters. Terrorize everything. So
now look, jump into verse 265. Mattathias declared in a firm voice, pulling himself erect. There will be an eternity to rest when Adonai calls me. Matter of fact, it was necessary to go. They asked him, you should have not have gone to Jerusalem, Father, said Simon. It was necessary to go. It was ordained that I see the desecration, so that you and those who will follow you will know the truth of the matter. Blessed be the Almighty, I have witnessed more than I wish to see, but I am the servant still of Adonai. And remember, that was the first Maccabees too. When he said, woe is me that I have lived to see the desolation of my people.
That's right here. He says, verse 6.
Bring it out.
Chapter 2 and verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me. Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hands of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hands of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy.
Yo, you know what's crazy about that?
That last line.
Yeah.
That's talking about when we was reading about how
Yeah.
some of Israel got out with Epiphanies. They got on their side.
Yeah, traitors.
Wicked ass damn high priest too, man.
Now check this. What's important about Mattathias? Page 114. Mattathias was privately studying the scroll when Ananias, the high priest, entered into the reading room into Jerusalem, the temple. So Mattathias was right under Ananias, learning from Ananias the whole time. The same priest that the Most High brought the angels to whoop Heliodorus' ass. So he's seen all of that. So now he's in his old age, right? So now it says 265. So they asked him, why you went to Jerusalem? He said he had to see the desolation that was already in the prophecy, right? So they can see what they got to do. So he said, you will renew your strength, my father said his oldest son John, as it is promised. You will renew your strength, right? He recounted the desecration of God's holy temple. He had been one of the 20. Look at this. He had been one of the 20 who witnessed the pouring of swine broth by the king himself upon the sacred Torah. Remember when Antiochus called the 20 to see who's going to do the Torah? Mattathias was one of the 20. That's seen it for himself. So all of this is a buildup, right? By the king himself upon the sacred Torah. He has seen a small image set aside the altar of the burnt offerings where the flesh of the unclean pig was roasted. His sons and their mother was aghast. Then the desecration has truly come. Said Judah, it is the abomination of desolation, said the priest with a sob in his voice. But this was only the beginning.
Verse 12. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?
Nah.
It's time to go to war.
Yep.
Like, our beauty is laid and our glory is laid away. What is our beauty and our glory? The scriptures.
So watch this. Let's
Like
go.
they done burnt our damn books up. They done pooped swine, put juice all over it.
So imagine this. Y'all got to think about it. Imagine all of us is around here and we know somebody, drink whatever this and that. Like, nigga did what? He did this, he did. Bruh, you serious? This nigga sold out? This man was all out there, quarterback around this and that. And he sold out. He's right there with Esau coming against us. He know all our spots. He know where we hang out at. He know where we chilling at.
See, Christianity don't deal with the apocrypha.
And this,
If they understood like the truth of a Gentile according to the apocrypha, they wouldn't dare run around here talking about I'm a Gentile and be proud about it.
or trying to say that.
Or trying to say, you know what I'm saying? They don't understand, man.
They'll probably punch him in the face.
If they really truly understood what a Gentile represents, man.
So now they talking about Menelaus, right? Let us pray that it may be so. Said the priest, the king, however, is strong. He has a soldier and he has Menelaus. He's still with the king on the temple steps. You say, act silently and decorously. He now openly serves the king who called himself a god. Menelaus is a high priest to Epiphanes. He himself began to chant a prayer for the king. He must die, said Judah. He is a traitor and a blasphemer. He will one day die, said his father, as all men will die. No, my father, said Judah, he must not be allowed to die as all men die. You remain in Jerusalem longer than you planned. It is not so, asked John.
Judah's pissed.
Right? So now you about to go in. He said they would do such a thing. He is now in Abraham's bosom. You speak about Eliezer. I remember him, father said Eliezer. I remember him as a kindly and a devout man. He was a kindly and devout man, my son. He is no longer alive. He is now in Abraham's bosom. Speak about Eliezer, 2 Maccabees 6. Right? The priest replied, I was not there, but I was told about the celebration in honor of his 90th anniversary. When the soldiers of Antiochus entered, they had learned of the party and they knew Eleazar. They brought their gift, a gift of pork, which they commanded him to eat. They would do such a thing to a teacher of the law? Judah exclaimed in anger. Listen to my story, my son. said the priest Eleazar's friend feared that the soldiers meant to make an example to have their own way. They whispered to the old man to eat some lamb, which they would place in his hands, and simply pretend that he was eating the pork they had brought. Right. Eleazar would not do this, Jonathan declared. No, this is what he replied. As I have heard from one who was there, I will pretend nothing. I will not disgrace my years. I will not lead our youth astray. I will uphold the law, even though I might live for a time being. By doing this thing, I will never avoid the mighty hand and the eternal.
This is given.
Detailed account.
Right?
This is literally. This confirming what the Bible says.
God. And remember, who's writing this? This is the Edomite writing this.
Right.
Just from their perspective.
Right? The sons of Mattathias were deeply moved and were weeping. So imagine 90 years.
And he was a priest.
Right.
Mattathias was a priest and an elder.
So imagine 90 years you hear this man righteous, sincere, loyal, a man of the Lord, doing the works. 90 years, and then he try to force him to eat pork and he try to kill him. And he said, I'm going to go out as a man of the Lord. I ain't going to try to destroy the youth.
Right, that's for me and mine.
Right, we're going to serve the Lord.
We're going to serve the Lord.
Right? Eleazar said these words in Greek, so the soldiers understood. They then forced the pork meat into the old man's mouth.
That's the picture that you see we be having on the chart, where they take the funnels. They literally taking our people, bounding them, opening their mouth and shoving a funnel in their mouth and pouring the damn pork slop down their throat.
Exactly, that's the one. So look what he says, which he promptly spit out into the face of the soldiers. So they asked him, how did he die? Asked the son who bore the name of the old priest Eleazar. So this is Eleazar, one of the sons of Mattathias, who got his namesake from that priest Eleazar. Right? He was taken outside and flogged to death. He's 90 years old. And he took him out and beat him to death. I have heard enough. Judas Maccabee shouted, Father, we must not stand idly by while such evil exists.
That's in the law.
Yeah. So now he pissed off.
Standing against the blood of thy brothers.
Right. I must tell you about one other occurrence, one that I saw with my own eyes. Yo, Mattathias struggled to control his emotions as he recalled the event he had seen. It is forbidden now to circumcise our children, he continued. 2 Jewish mothers in Jerusalem disobeyed that decree. According to our law, after the prescribed 8 days following the birth of their sons, they took to them Abijah, a pious and loyal priest, and their sons were circumcised. Somehow the soldiers learned about the event. The mothers were arrested. The legs of the baby was tied together with a thin rope, and each child was placed around the neck of his mother as though he were a necklace.
So this first Maccabees 1 and 6, right?
God.
At which time, according to the commandments, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised.
Y'all gotta know that the Bible is real history. This is confirmation about real life events that happen. And to the Christians, just because your ass don't believe in all of the scriptures, it don't mean a damn thing. That's why y'all don't have no understanding.
So
it's
now,
telling us literally what the Bible is saying, man. And it's given from their account, from their perspective, man. These things happen.
So watch this. Page 269. Elizabeth and the 5 sons sat silently in shock and horror as they visualized what they had just heard. New decrees are being added to Antiochus announced. Mattathias said everyone to celebrate the festival of Dionysus, whom the Romans call Bacchus. It occurs once a year and becomes nothing but a drunken orgy. Everyone is to participate, said as a decree, drinking and parading in the streets. Yep. Right? Waving images of the phallus. It is public perversion of disgrace, and everyone must wear those abominable ivy wreaths the Greek enjoys so much.
It was in them there. Right. That's the little thing Caesar used to wear around his head, man.
Right.
Goddamn, this right here.
Right. And Dionysus,
right here.
Right. Dionysus was a wine god to the Grecians, man.
That's why it was in the, they created the gymnasium, man.
Right.
That's where it used to go down at. They used to bar all the women out of there. Couldn't no women come in, just men and little boys.
Just profane.
Yo, what's Tekashi 6ix9ine said to NBA Youngboy?
No, Lil Durk told him, I'll fight you in Dubai for $50 million. He told us, let's just get a hotel room and duke it out right and get it in by ourselves. Something to that effect. Homo as hell. I'm offering to fight your ass in a boxing ring, and you gonna tell me let's get a hotel room and do it.
Right.
Yeah. So check this. Let's go back it up. This is page 164. The priest had heard of more sordid deeds of men who made love to men, something said to occur frequently in Greece.
See that, man?
That's part of this song. They're boy loves.
Yeah.
All right, so now, what is it, 265. Not everyone participate. My father said Judah firmly. What is worse, there's to be celebration each month. We ought to commemorate the king's birthday, not once a year as an anniversary, but once a month.
That's literally what we read up in 2nd Maccabees chapter 6. 2nd Maccabees chapter 6, 1 through 9, man.
So now this part right here. And
This is
now
real history.
Yeah.
I gotta say it again,
It's
huh?
crazy.
The Bible is real history,
What
man.
page is you
269.
Like, this is real history. Like, and for them, they literally telling you about the stories of our forefathers. And we literally read through how they was trying to mock our stories, huh? And then confirmed it when they said that Heliodorus saw 2 flashes of light. Look, and then we confirmed it by going to Ezekiel.
Look it up.
Those lightnings was the angels, right? Then the book then confirmed that our foremothers, man, they was wearing our children around their neck by force of the damn Grecians, which we can read, which we done read already, man. The Bible is real history, man.
So now look at this, right? Page 270. May Adonai forgive me for even repeating the blasphemy. His new coin show the image of Zeus. He's speaking about Antiochus, right?
Right.
But it is the face of Antiochus. And now,
wait, I literally
Right.
said that, man. I said it's safe to say that those carvings, those statues, was in the likeness
Right.
of Antiochus, man. Now we know who the statue is. We know who that is, man.
And now the decree to honor his birthday once a month in a rite of sacrifice at the beginning of required worship of his person. You comprehend well, my father, said John. Now look what he said. Recite for me the first 4 commandments which describe our covenant with Adonai commanded the priests. John, you shall have no other gods before me. Simon, you shall not make for yourself any idols or any likeness what is in heaven. Right? Judah, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Eleazar, remember the Sabbath day. So he's testing each son.
That's their code, man. This is the code of honor that our family live by, man. That our nation live by.
So look what he told him. You do well to hide God's word in your hearts, said Mattathias, wiping another tear from his eye, but this one brought by joy. We are attacked by evil enemy who will not be satisfied until he destroys both Jews and Jewish faith. This wicked man and his high priest attack the 2 things that distinguish us from the rest of the world, the things that kept us faithful as Jews.
Now they want to take our damn fringes and put it on damn homo.
Right.
You see that, man?
Imagine the seal that'll come over here and he was here to see that.
That's real, man.
So look what he says. We are forbidden by Antiochus to worship Adonai on the Sabbath, and now we must not show evidence of our covenant with Adonai through circumcision. He said the 2 most important things is keeping the Sabbath and also being circumcised, keeping the laws of God. And he said the Edomites set that up to make sure we don't do none of that.
And he's still keeping it right now.
He's still keeping it.
You gotta understand something. If these people got a consistent record of our book and our timeline of being on the earth, what the hell you think they got about them?
Right.
You think they don't got a detailed account of their life generation from generation up till right now?
Right.
That's how these type of books come about. Because the same way our scribes was writing this book, they had their people pen in their joint too.
Right.
So now here we go right here.
Only difference is they tampered with ours. But they forgot that in order to take and tamper with ours, you gotta alter yours too.
Right.
Because yours is a recitement of the exact same thing that I say.
Right.
That's why we can do comparative text and go pull they books and they fill in the damn gaps of what they thought they took out of here. It's literally what we sitting here doing. We filling in the blanks using their books that's got the history from front to back, start to end.
Right.
Filling in the spots that they took out of our books.
Get 1 Maccabees chapter 2 verse 15. We're gonna go right into it.
Jake go to the damn library and he go to nigga man section.
He gonna
how to pimp and get money. Go to the Esau damn book section.
Yeah.
That's where you go pick your books out.
he goes straight to 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Then
All the smut books.
yeah. Right.
You go straight to the basketball category.
Yeah.
That's all you look at.
You supposed to go your ass over there to Esau section. All the truth is over there.
Right.
Where his people getting the real knowledge.
So now watch this. 1 Maccabees chapter 2 verse 15. Bring it up.
1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice.
Right. So this is the king's officer, right? Came into the city of Modin, right, to make them have a sacrifice, right? This is page 289. When Heraclius and his men arrived in Modin, Mattathias and his 5 sons were wearing sackcloth and ashes, the traditional Hebrew garb for mourning.
Hold up. Go back up and read verse 14.
14.
Verse 14. Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore.
So from Mattathias' point of view, after hearing all of this, they in sackcloth mourning. Now when you go to Antiochus' book, he's showing you his account of him rolling up on them already in sackcloth mourning.
Right. Right? You on?
15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came into them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king officer and said to Mattathias on the wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thy first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathens have done, yea, and the men of Judea also as such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
Now check this.
The same as go back to Maccabees, 2 Maccabees 6, when he was trying to get him to come and act like he was eating the damn swine.
Right.
But he was telling them that it wasn't swine, it was lamb chitlins.
Right. Lamb, what is it? Lamb ribs.
Lamb ribs. And it was the leftovers from the lamb, like the damn small.
Oh yeah, like intestines and all that.
Like chitlins. It was lamb chitlins, man. And he was still like, no.
And that's unclean. We can't eat that.
You can't eat that. Even though it's come off the lamb, that's still considered the vile part. We're not supposed to eat that. That's what got Mattathias and Joseph into the fighting.
Right. So watch this. When Heraclius and his men arrived at Modin, Mattathias and his 5 sons were wearing sackcloth and ashes, the traditional Hebrew garb for mourning. Hidden within the sackcloth garments, however, were daggers and knives. Right?
Run up if you
So
want.
they wasn't bullshit, man.
I'm not crying that much.
Listen to how they gonna, hey, they standing around with blickies, like, yeah. This gonna describe them on some straight up Jake outside, man.
Yo,
Keep reading it,
right? Heracles has been in Modin before, a month before, to be exact. So what is he doing? He's scheming out the place. Right? He's getting intel on the place. And now he's like, yo, that's the top dog, right? That's recon. That's the top dog, right? When he and his men had built an official altar and shrine to the king, this had been done in dozens of towns throughout Judea at the king's commandments.
Now, mind you, when he came last month, Mattathias was in Judah,
right,
looking at the damage that they had done to the temples.
So now, Heracles was a captain in the army of Antiochus who reported to Sostratus, the governor. He was a huge man, about 35 years old. He was named for the originator of wrestling, and as Heracles himself looking like a champion contestant. Heracles has ordered everyone to marketplace, said Simon. We must obey, said Mattathias. But let us stand in the fringes of the crowd. It is safer that way.
The borders of the crowd.
God, hey, like the fringes, borders of
security around everybody.
Right. The priest had grown more feeble in recent weeks, right? So Mattathias getting older and weaker, right? But today, his voice was strong. And his face had a ruddy color. Are we armed? That man was hyped that day, man. He said, yo, it's time for war.
No, what did he say? Are we
armed?
He asked him, man, y'all got them blickies? Y'all got them broomsticks, mops?
Good.
Choppers on deck?
Right.
What they say, huh?
Are we armed? Judah had seen to it, said John. So Judah made sure.
He made sure they were strapped.
Made sure we got it, man. What do you mean? Asked the priest. The weapons are safe, Father, said Judas Maccabees, smiling. He ready.
He said, they good, we good.
He's good. He got good. He's like.
Says they are hidden in the hills. Good, said the priest. But I asked if we were armed.
What Simon do?
His sons patted their hips and nodded. And I have mine.
He said, what? What he say?
They said we got them joints on us.
Hey,
he said,
real.
Oh, Minister Society. Hold on. You strapped? You
He said, if we were armed all together. He was like, yeah. Checks like, oh shit. Like, yeah, he ready. That's why he said his face, like, he hyped. Like,
I'm a fella saying, man. The real clues that's found up in the scriptures, man.
I ain't asked you niggas if we had joints with us.
Right.
I said, is we strapped?
Ready.
We got them joints on us.
Right. At his hip. He said, yeah, man. He was toting, man. That's what it was. He was.
And remember,
that's the thing.
Remember, in First Maccabees 3, it shows it, man.
Where what?
He was with it. First Maccabees chapter 3, and go to verse 1.
That's First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1. Then his son Judas called Maccabeus rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him, and so did all they that held with his father. And they fought with cheerfulness.
And they did what?
Fought with cheerfulness.
And they fought with cheerfulness.
The battle of Israel.
Look at that, man.
The Bible is real history, man.
That man Judas was smiling.
Like, let's discredit in the Bible, man. This is coming from an extra biblical source, man. He patted his hip. He was smiling. He was like, yeah, we got it on us, man.
I can see,
you can see it right
outside, man. And in wartime, it's like,
Detroit.
Let's go, man. That man was
already
ready.
know, man.
Yeah, we strapped. That man said, man, he said, yeah, we got them tools. They in the car. And look, I asked you about no damn guns and no car. I said, is we strapped on us.
He said,
oh, yeah, we good.
He brandished his look. He brandished
they like, yeah, we good.
Yeah.
He said, all right, me too.
Shit. So y'all the only ones?
I was the only one strapped.
That's why I said, remember, he's old, he's weak right now. But he said something was different about that day. The spirit was on him.
We bringing opportunities back to cat. We bringing opportunities back to cat.
Notice I've been bringing mine every cat.
I be talking about like mine concealed. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get. I was open here. Yo, he But he had he tucked that joint, man. He concealed the carry his food.
And they sackcloth.
And they sackcloth.
You know sackcloth is like a potato sack, goddamn burlap. You can barely see through it. They had that thing kind of double rolled up so you couldn't see through the little holes. And that the joint tucked in that boy, man. Couldn't see what he carried.
Right.
He was ready, man. I'm telling you, man. Right? What do you mean? Asked the priest. The weapons are safe, Father, said Judas Maccabees, smiling. They are hidden in the hills. Good, said the priest, but I asked if we were armed. His sons patted their hips and nodded, and I have mine, Mattathias declared, removing his knife from his sheath and then replacing it. And I have named it Vengeance of the Lord.
Verse 16. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
God,
That's that together.
Yeah.
They came together strapped like, yeah, let's do this.
said as he patted it. His sons laughed. Retribution is not a matter for jest. Right? So like, yo, stop playing games. We about to go in. Remonstrated their fathers. The sons smiled cautiously to each other. Mattathias was growing old.
Gave him that look.
That was the smirk. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you was back in the day,
What?
when you want to get ready to steal on it, you got that very faint head nod, like,
For real.
with the eyes with it. That means punch his ass.
For real.
They was giving each other that look, like,
Yo, look what's crazy. Mattathias was growing old. Their father was unpredictable. His temper went up and down like the hills and the valleys that surround him.
Just think about it, man. When our grandparents get old at the age, they be angry like hell, and then they be happy like hell.
Yep.
That's the same thing Mattathias was going through, man. He was unpredictable, bro. Like, he was ready.
So look, let us see what this Hercules has to say, said Mattathias. Hercules saw the latecomers even though they would try to infiltrate the outer edges of the crowd. Mattathias,
What was his name?
forward. Hercules.
Hercules?
Yeah, that's like Hercules.
Yeah, that was, that was the Roman way of saying
Hercules.
Hercules.
Mattathias, come forward. So Hercules, the dude that was set by the ANTIOCHUS to make sure everybody served the altar sacrifice, he spot Mattathias to the family and he shot them out. He said, come forward. Right? Commanded the captain. The priest approached the king's representative accompanied by his sons. This altar has been built for more than a month. Mattathias, said the captain, but as yet it has not been used. Then the altar will not wear out from the frequent use, said Mattathias. The crowd roared with laughter. You are correct, said the captain. Trying to humor the people, but an altar has only one purpose and should be used. I have no need to use this altar, captain, said the priest calmly.
yeah, go back. Verse 17.
Right.
When he called him, he says, in verse 17. And then answered the king's officer and said to Mattathias on this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. That's the exact same account right there that he's telling him to come.
Right? So now,
Mattathias answered with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenants of our father. God forbid that we should forsake the laws of the ordinance. We would not hearken to the king's word to go from our religion either to the right hand or the left.
so check this. I have no need to use this altar, captain, said the priest calmly. It is the king's birthday, Mattathias, and it is time for the monthly sacrifice, said Heracles. Mattathias, be the first to make your offering. Why should I be the first? Asked the priest. For many reasons, sir, said the captain. Because you are an elder in Modi, because you are a respected leader, and because, of course, you desire to honor the king. I honor the king in my own way, but the king has decreed that sacrifices be made. And thus you ask me to make a sacrifice to Antiochus, who called himself Epiphanes, declared the priest. It is being done everywhere, Mattathias. Your Adonai has not struck down his Jews who made this small sacrifice to honor the king.
Because we was
Right.
Well, no, I ain't gonna do it.
because we was in sin. But it said that the Adonai didn't what?
Then it struck down his Jews who made this small sacrifice to honor the king.
Now, here comes this wicked
He's trying to use it
Joseph.
against him.
Yeah.
Right. It makes little to me what is done elsewhere, said Mattathias. But Mattathias, Hercules smiled, if you make the sacrifices, the villagers will follow your example.
They already followed.
Right? So look what he says. I know.
That's what it said.
Yeah, I know. Right? I know they're going to follow me. Then the king will honor you with many gifts, with gold and with silver. Heracles beckoned to the priest. Come, the coals are ready. Mattathias shook his head. Why must you be so abstinent, O priest? Shouted a man called Joseph.
Yeah, there you go. Sion number 1.
You arrived late. You did not hear what this captain of the king's army promised us, that we did not make the sacrifice today? The priest walked over to the man. Joseph, you are a Jew, he said. I want you to live in peace, Joseph replied. Your father was Japheth, my son. Japheth, who himself went to Antioch to speak to the king. Japheth was a member of the Sanhedrin. You are his son. And I became an orphan because my father went to Antioch.
Basically telling me your father was mighty. And you going the hell off, profane, by trying to go hand in hand with this fool. This verse 23. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Moses, according to the king's commandment. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment, wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
So this is all a buildup. Like you were saying with that verse right there.
This is the short version.
Right.
They went back and forth.
Right. So now, and I became an orphan because of my father went to Antioch. Joseph clasped and clapped his hands. We can all be killed today. Make the sacrifice and be done with it, Mattathias. Adonai will forgive us. The priest stood staring at the young man and began to shake his head.
Like I said, Sion ass
Yo.
man.
Mattathias, the captain pointed to the altar. As for me and my house, we will serve Adonai, the old man declared.
And it said he clapped and unclapped his head. So the frustration, he was either like this, or he was like, one of them hand gestures like he want to pound this nigga off.
For real.
That is my answer. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Serve Adonai, the old man declared. That is my answer. Right? Now look what he says. Continue to serve your Adonai, Mattathias, coerce the captain, serve your God, but give homage to the king. Right? It is not homage that you ask, it is worship. One may worship many gods. There is only one God, declared the priest in a firm, calm voice. There were murmurs of approval from the crowd. Right? So the crowd was like, right. I do not care if everyone in every town and nation in this kingdom bows down to this king. I will not do so. I will not forsake the law of my fathers. I will fulfill the covenant with Adonai, he shouted.
Now, why would Esau leave such defiance in a book? But yet you take that part out of this book.
That was Mattathias talking?
Yeah.
That was verse 19.
But that's what I'm saying. Why would he leave that in his history book, but you take it out of the Bible, where it's saying the same thing?
Because while they sin not before their God, right, they prosper.
And what else? You want to be a proverb or the byword, right? You want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. Jake ain't finna go pick that book up. Put that man name on there.
Or Antiochus.
Who was Antiochus? ANTIOCHUS.
Right.
You'll never would have picked that
Hell
book up, man. Butcher the hell out of his name, ANTIOCHUS.
Right.
The truth is right there in that book. It fills in every missing piece that Esau took out of this book. But even with the Apocrypha in our hand, the story is being told from two people that was standing there, literally.
Hey, 3. Because look, the Apocrypha, this book, and the Babylon and Timbuktu.
Timbuktu.
Right? Joseph, I will fulfill the covenant with Adonai, he shouted. Joseph rushed past him. Mattathias grabbed his sleeve.
Yeah.
Where are you going, Joseph? He asked. To make the sacrifice.
Is that not what Mattathias did? He said he
This
kind
is-
of jacked his
This
ass
is
up.
24.
Yo,
This is verse 24 right
He said,
here.
where the hell you going?
yo,
I'm
Yo,
talking
come
about
on,
Mattathias
Oh,
on 79.
Yeah, man.
kind of glad where you going, this nigga?
Right, where you going?
At the camp. Hey, remember, he's old right now. But today is different, man. The Lord gave him that scripture. Yo, he's old and he was
He's
weak.
old,
The Lord said today is different. The Lord
He
gave
is
him
that
the
little old
scripture.
man straight.
Yeah. And remember, Joseph is young.
This is verse 24
Bring it out.
in the Apocrypha right now. No, finish reading on that.
Come on. Joseph rushed past him. Mattathias grabbed his sleeve. Think about that, man. He's old, but he got that quick reflex. Like, where are you going, Joseph? He asked. To make the sacrifice. Someone must do it. You are mad, Joseph. What are we asked to do, Mattathias? Merely to sacrifice the entrails of a sheep? An exception was made. Right?
Entrail. That's the intestines.
Huh.
Yes.
So he said an exception was made.
Lamb chitlins.
Right. Not a pig, not a swine, a sheep. Mattathias, what is wrong with that? Joseph puts himself away from the priest. Jews are told that entrails are unclean, that we are not to have anything to do with them. These are only sheep guts, O priest. I don't want them, and the king may have them in his sacrifice.
Notice he called him as priest.
Right. And old as well, too. He broke away, but Mattathias again held his arm.
Where you going?
Yo, he's bullshit, man.
Trying to tell you.
Yo, you will make a bad example to the young and the weak among us.
Things are gonna look bad.
See? Remember, Eleazar didn't do that. You break the first and second commandments. If you make this sacrifice, you will worship an idol. Let go of my arm, Mattathias.
He said,
Bad
"Get your
Look, you crazy? Hey,
You gonna tell the priest that? They out your damn
Yo,
mind.
let
I
go
can
of
see,
my
I
arm.
literally
It's
can
crazy,
see
right?
this happening. Like,
Let go of my arm, Mattathias. Joseph shouted and pulled himself free. This has to be done for our people for motive. Mattathias caught him at the altar.
He caught it, man. Caught his ass lacking.
now verse 24, you gonna pick up right there when I read this. This is First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 24. Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal and his reins trembled. I mean, he lost his self-control.
Right. Remember, his personality is up and down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Unpredictable.
Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment, wherefore he ran and slew him up on the altar. Now pick up right there.
Let go of my arm, Mattathias, Joseph shouted and pulled himself free. This has to be done for our people for motive. Mattathias caught him at the altar. Joseph, why must not do this? Slaki, Joseph, you must not do this. He exclaimed, I command you. I will not listen to you, said Joseph.
He gave his ass a chance,
Stooping to prepare the sacrifice, Mattathias removed the knife from its hidden place, pulled up Joseph by his collar,
Are you his?
and plunged the knife into his heart.
What else?
No Jew will make a sacrifice to Antiochus, cried the priest. Not in motive, not as
Talking to everybody else.
Yeah,
Letting them know this was going to happen to your ass.
right. Not in motive, not as long as I am elder and priest. Heracles fell upon him, but Mattathias still held the knife in his hand.
Face.
He slashed wildly at face, arms, stomach, at whatever moved.
Man, blacked out.
Yo, get Sirach
Everybody ass
39.
getting it.
Yo, this is crazy. Get Sirach 39. You know what's crazy, right? And get Isaiah 47. Yo, this is crazy, right?
Man,
Yo,
lost.
you can't make this up. Watch this. Let me see. Yo, this is scale.
He said anything that
Anything that
Yo,
moved.
watch this. Continue to move. He's stabbing that.
You threw an arm up. You stabbed it.
Stabbing that.
You did this. You stabbed it.
You feet kicking. He stabbed it.
You emphasized wildly at face, arms, and anything that moves.
Start at verse 27. Sirach chapter 39, verse 27. Yo, you know what's crazy? With these precepts right here, remember, it said Mattathias, as he was getting older, his like personality started going up and down.
Yeah, like the
Right?
hills and the valleys.
Mad as hell one day, right, and cool another day, right? But he said something was different that day, right? That he was cheerful, he was nice. That's what happened.
That man said,
That's what
man,
happened.
anybody getting it today.
That's literally what happened. He said he felt strong that day. He don't know what it was. He said when he was speaking with a strong voice. He didn't know what it was. Remember, he's holding
Voice of judgment, man.
right. Read that, Sirach 39.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 39, and verse 27.
He stabbed his ass with the vengeance of the Lord. That's the name
Exactly, y'all.
That's the name of
That's the
his
spirit. Yeah, that's the spirit. Bring it up.
It's Sirach, chapter 39, and verse 27. All these things.
Name of his sword. His life, man.
No, that was not the
That was Mattathias. Yeah, I got one too. And I gave it a name.
Yeah, vengeance of the Lord.
The Lord put the spirit on him that day.
Nikon, it means,
Yeah.
it means vengeance. So
Yeah.
Nikon, your Allah, is vengeance of God.
Sirach 39 and verse 27. All these things are good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil.
Right.
There be spirits that are created for vengeance.
For what?
There be for vengeance,
You know?
which in their fury lay on sore strokes.
So them slashes. Read on.
And in the time of destruction,
See?
they
That was
pour
that time
out
of
their
destruction.
force.
They do what?
They pour out their force.
Yo, so man.
That's how I gave you that.
What is force? That's
Yo.
power.
Uh,
That's that power he felt that day, that energy he had.
He didn't know what it was. Heracles fell upon it, Mattathias still held the knife
He
in his
fell
hand.
upon him. He trying to grab
Right,
him.
he
Like,
tried to
oh,
tackle
what you doing, man?
Right. He slashed
Poke
wildly
his
at his
ass too,
face. Right, you know?
and appease the wrath
And appeased the wrath of who?
of him that made them.
Remember, he said, we going to serve the Lord. We only sacrifice to the Most High.
He made the Lord happy.
Right, and made him happy.
To see
But
him
I-
stand up for who's going to rise up for me.
You know what's crazy? Then Joseph said, hey, we can still praise the Edomites and the Lord going to forgive us? Well, the Lord gave him his answer right now, immediately. Right? You know?
Now, he's dealing with that.
Right.
29. Fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance.
For what?
For vengeance.
For vengeance, you know?
Teeth of the wild beast and scorpions, serpents, and the sword.
And the what?
And the
And
sword,
remember, he named his knife what? Vengeance of the Lord. You know?
punishing the wicked to destruction.
So what?
Punishing the wicked to destruction.
So he destroyed Joseph. He destroyed Heracles. Right? That was the judgment and vengeance of the Lord. Heracles fell upon him, but Mattathias still held the knife in his hand. Think about it. And remember, it said Heracles was young, 35 years old, big and strong.
Right.
And you know, we talk about the battle of Megiddo. They had broke off into a separate camp. And that's where Alexander got their camp from. Sakari.
Right.
It literally means dagger.
Right.
But that group, Sakari, that's who it was. It was the Maccabees, them at the Battle of Megiddo. That was the last stand. That was the last stronghold that we had after them damn heathens came through there, man. And that's where that name came from.
And remember,
the group was called Sakari.
And remember,
they used to pop out the bushes.
Yes.
Shake them up with the daggers, man.
And remember, Heracles came to the city moaning, and he seen what? He seen them with their garments, all the garments and everything, all of that around them. And it's heavy, and they're protecting what? The knife that's under them, so they don't see it.
They had the sackcloth on, looking like
Right.
that morning. And that's
like
how
an
they
Assassin's
always
Creed.
Yeah. That's how they always was attacking, man. That's why they told them, we don't give a damn on the Sabbath. If they come attacking us on the Sabbath, we killing their ass, because if we don't, ain't gonna be none of us left. Because they keep attacking us on our Sabbath, and we trying not to profane the Sabbath, but so we just gonna keep letting them come on the Sabbath and kill us? Hell no. Next time they show up on the Sabbath, it's putting boot to ass. It's going up with them niggas. And then what is that? Element of surprise.
Right.
Because they coming in just knowing, oh yes, they Sabbath, they can't fight, they ain't gonna do nothing. We gonna go in, rape, rob, pillage, slash, murder, and ran their ass up in there and got that work.
Not knowing it's good to do good on the Sabbath. For real.
Ran their ass in there and got that work that day.
Right.
So now,
made my ox off the damn ditch, man.
he said he slashed them wildly, armed stomach, at whatever moved. The priest fought in a frenzy, and the huge man, who looked like a wrestler, fell backwards upon the glowing altar. He did not move because he was dead.
Yeah.
That was the spirit of the Lord, spirit of vengeance. He said he fought with a frenzy.
And you know he got some good pokes in.
God.
I done jammed him up and you come grab me, he just face.
Everything. Cut everything.
Oh. But I can just imagine what his joint looked like. That thing probably had a little hook on it. Yeah.
Finish.
And go in and kind of go up and ripping your damn organs up.
Carving his ass, man.
You know, they had some ruthless ass blades back then, man.
Remember that dude in that movie? The dude that jumped off the damn roof, off the cliff.
That was yo,
with his sword.
He literally jumped medieval.
Yeah.
Right?
The nigga with the sword?
Yeah. He brought that thing out, and it had a hole up, but you know he was slicing shit clean. Yo.
So it says.
They gotta start playing with our forefathers like they was supposed to.
Right.
For real.
He said fighting erupted between Heracles' soldiers and the townspeople. There was just sacrifice, great and mighty Antiochus.
Because after Mattathias did all that, everybody was like, get him!
God.
It's on. And what we just read that in there, that everybody
follows him.
Everybody fought with him.
That's an example. Mattathias shouted above the turmoil, pointing to the lifeless form of Heracles, waving his bloody knife in punctuation. The priest turned to the crowd of the Jews around him. Let everyone who loves the Lord and stands upon the covenant follow me. The priest and his sons fought against the invaders and slowly made their way to the edge of the crowd, and then ran for the hills as they had planned. Several of the townsmen followed them. Those who ran left all their possessions behind them.
Right. Yeah, we just read that too. We just read that in Babylon and Timbuktu.
Right.
Those that didn't follow with Antiochus ran to the hills. It literally just said that.
However, the remnant about which Mattathias had spoken so often did exist throughout Judea. Those were the godly men, the pious ones, the Hasidians. Some were being called Perusians, and later they will be known as Pharisees. Others who remained in the hills established isolated communities and called themselves Essenes. Centuries later,
I'm gonna tell you something about them hills, man. Benjamin was involved in that too.
God.
That's where the jerk chicken come from.
Oh,
when they ran up in them damn hills, they were up there for days and they couldn't start fires. So they had to dig holes and cook the chicken in the ground with the pimento leaves from the trees that they had. And that's how jerk chicken was born.
They said from them, later on, they was called Pharisees. Man, Paul was.
Paul was, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Talking about jerk chicken. Paul was Bismarck. He was Pharisee too.
That jerk chicken.
For real.
trying to tell you, boy. Like our forefathers was old.
You can't make this up, bro. You cannot make this up. Like, these are the type of lessons, man, that I wish we could do a lesson like this outside at camp.
It would Satan be out too much,
Man, bro.
We would not be able to get through a lesson like this.
This is a mighty lesson. Because they don't want to believe this.
They don't believe
That's
that.
the exact same.
That one Timbuktu with it.
The thing about it is, if we do something like this outside, Jake and Eve attention span is just not there.
Yeah, they
Oh,
gotta
no,
walk
man.
out.
There's too much killing in this. Jake them love a murder story, man. I can see it. You Jake standing there with their mouth dropped open like that. Killing like that. They don't know that it's murder in the Bible.
Oh God. They think it's all hugs and kisses and love.
Attention grabbers to show that, like, yeah, we got it on us too. When we ask them, and we smile.
Right.
That alone will make Jake them like, them niggas had blinkies. He's saying we got it on us.
Right.
Terminology that Jake used. It's like when you show Nehemiah.
I always got it
When
on.
Nehemiah told him, man, y'all come over here with
I'll
this
put
and
my
them
hands
with
on
the
it.
hands on it.
man.
How y'all using that word, and that word was in the Bible written over 2,000 years ago.
Right.
Your forefather told niggas he was going to put them hands on their ass.
It's literally right around for us.
Them niggas got blinky.
Hey,
He smiled. He said, "Yeah, I got it, man."
he said, oh, I ain't asked you if you had no pistol in the car, nigga. I said, do we got joints on us? It was like,
Judas smiled.
he smiled like, he was
I
the
know
shit.
it.
Yeah, he was
You
ready.
knew he was good with his weapons, man.
Yeah, he was with the shit, man. He was locked in it. He was ready to get it cracking, man.
So this part is the one when the rest of Israel ran back into the cave. Like some went into the cave to hide.
Right.
While the rebels continued to discuss the offers, Satrades ordered his men to gather dry bush and firewood and stack them at the entrance to the cave. Come back another day. Yeah. Shouted a voice from inside the cave. We will not come forth. Said, this is our holy day, our Sabbath. So Satrades had forgotten. So what happened in this, the men that left, some that went with, they didn't go with Mattathias, but they still went and fought against the heathens, right? But the only day they didn't fight against the heathens, it was in those caves, the only day they fight against the heathens was the Sabbath day. But the rest of the days they fought. So Esau, the Greeks, saying we're going to attack them on the Sabbath day.
Yeah.
See? So they fought the rest of the other days, but on the Sabbath day they didn't fight back. Right? Come back another day. So he's saying come back another day. So he's telling the Greeks to come back another day so they can fight against them. But while he's saying that, shouted a voice from inside the cave, we will not come forth since this is our holy Sabbath. The Satrades had forgotten that it was the Jewish Sabbath, since it was no longer observed in Jerusalem in any special way. Again I offer you life, he shouted, come forth and be spared. We will never profane the Sabbath, but we will not obey the king's commandments. Many voices from inside the cave shouted affirmation. Satrades ordered the soldiers to light the bonfire. The smoke entered into the cave, and within minutes, women and children began to pour out the cave, clutching their throats and rubbing their eyes, coughing uncontrollably. They were killed by Satrades' men as they left the cave. The warriors still remained inside. When the fire had subsided and cooled, Satrades ordered his men into the cave. Satrades had remembered another Sabbath day in Jerusalem many months before. He hoped that it was still true that the Sabbath for the Jews was indeed a holy day. Mattathias was feared when he heard of the event. Our men did not throw a single stone. He shouted, they did not barricade the entrance. They did nothing. It was the Sabbath, father, said Judah. They did try to save the women and children, and it became a slaughter. His father replied, hearken to my words, all of you, Mattathias continued in a soft but firm voice. I know it is written that we are to keep the Sabbath day holy, and the Torah teaches us how that it is supposed to be done. But I say unto you today that Adonai will forgive us if we honor him on the Sabbath with the sword. If anyone attacks us on the Sabbath day, wherever he is, wherever we are attacked, we will resist. His sons and their companies and their companions murmured approval. There is no one left to resist to defend the cause of Adonai. We will defile the Sabbath by attacking others on that sacred day. But if we are attacked, we will hereafter resist. We must not be killed as our brothers were in Jerusalem. Listen to me. If you are killed, When we are killed, it will be courageous Jews in battle, fighting for the Lord and for Adonai, as we say the Most High. Right?
Salakia. Now, that account is up in here. This is First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse, I'm going to read verse 28. And I'm going to jump down. Right? It says, I'm going to start at verse 27. And Mattathias crowd throughout the city with a loud voice saying, whoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled to the mountains and left all that ever they had in the cities. Right? And that many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness and dwelt there. Right? I'm gonna jump to verse 32. Right? It says they pursued after them with a great number. That's those armies that was running after them, man, up in the mountains. They pursued after them with a great number, and having overtaken them, they encamped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. That's the account that we read it, right? And they said unto them, let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. We literally just read that out of this book, right? Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid. Literally, we just read that. They didn't barricade, neither did they throw a stone.
Go forward defense.
Right.
Don't do what it's going to be.
That was half of them, though. All right, the other half, Matthias knew. Come on now.
That's why they had to run to the hills, man. Because we already know it's
We the last defense. Yeah.
Right.
We can't afford to let them come in and kill us. We got to sneak back in and keep knocking them off.
Right. Now, this has said, but they said, let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us. And that's what this is. Heaven and earth is testifying for them. Right?
So let's say we never got hold of this book again.
Right.
It's all still right there.
Exactly. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath day, and they slew them with their wives, their children, and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people. Right?
Hold on. What did I just tell you? The battle of Megiddo. The last stronghold. When they finally made it up there to get to them, there was 1,000 of them up there.
Right. Dead, man.
They had committed suicide. They ain't killed. They actually killed themselves.
Right.
They committed mass suicide. But Esau and them embellished it to make it like they did it to him. But no. Like, and even got the story on.
Well, I mean, that's the account up in the scriptures. I mean, they did slay them. Right? According to the scriptures, there wasn't no suicide. You can say it's suicide because they didn't cast a stone at them. They didn't defend themselves.
And it was speculatory too.
Right.
They so I guess what I'm trying to say is like they made it seem like it could have been suicide to try to hide the fact that they slaughtered them.
Right.
They didn't want to make it come off like, yeah, we went up there and we butchered.
Right. They killed themselves.
They killed
themselves. We didn't do it.
Just like the damn movie, man, Columbiana. When the dude was out there, he shot him in the head and his mama come out to us. There you go. What happened to Johnny? I don't know, mama. He killed himself.
Right. Right.
Nigga just saw you shoot him in the damn head.
Right. Now it says, now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth. At that time, therefore they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him. Neither will we die all as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. We read not to. Right? Then came there unto him the company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto law. Also all they that fled from persecution joined themselves unto them and were a state unto them. So they joined forces and smote sinful men with their anger and wicked men in their wrath, but the rest fled to the heathen for succor. Right?
So now check this. Right? That's the closing point. So this is Mattathias. He said, I must soon join my fathers. It is the will of the Almighty. He propped himself up on an elbow and adjusted his sons to seat themselves beside him. I have much to say to you. Listen carefully because the time is short. The old priest called for several seconds. Simon, he said, you are a man of sound judgment. You are next to the oldest, but I want you to take your father's place. Simon looked at John, the oldest of his sons. It is all right, said John. Father and I have already discussed it. There are other things I must do. So look what happened. John is the oldest one, right? But Mattathias said, Simon, I need you to take my place, right? Because you're best at the judgment.
That's up in here too.
Right.
Where it says, yeah.
Where
it says Simon, man of counsel, listen to him always.
Right. So this is Simon, where it says, it is all right, said John. Father and I have already discussed it. There are other things I must do. Obey him, my sons. The priest continued, Judas Maccabees, you are the strongest and the bravest of my sons, he said. I appoint you commander of our forces. It will be given to you to lead our people to victory in his war against the heathen. Judah, the tallest and biggest of the brothers, had bowed his head. His broad shoulders were shaken, and his brothers saw that he was quietly weeping. All of you must hold fast to the Lord, said Mattathias in a voice that was now much weaker. Remember to seek vengeance for Adonai. The Torah has been destroyed throughout the land. Preserve the copies I have made. Make copies of them. See to it that the Torah is restored and studied. The temple has been desecrated and must be cleansed. Right? All right, Mattathias closed his eyes, but his lips were still moving. The 5 sons leaned closer and heard the words which they recognized as the closing words from the sacred book their father had loved so much. Look what he said. Those who have insight will shine brightly like the brightness of the expanse of heaven. And those who lead the many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Many will be purged, purified, and refined. But the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand. But those of you who have insight will understand. The priest opened his eyes for a moment and smiled. Right? Give Daniel chapter 12, verse 3. Right? But as for you, go your way to the end. Then you will enter into rest and rise up again for your allotted portion at the end of the age. Right? So he already understood reincarnation, or being resurrected again, or regeneration. So he knew he's going to come back again at a different time. But he knew he did his job. That's why in Daniel chapter 12, it says, many I have led those to righteousness, they're going to shine like the sun. That's speaking about the 144,000. So he's proud because of the work that he did to help build his wife and his sons. And you know he's leaving behind a legacy. Right? Daniel chapter 12, verse 3.
That's Daniel chapter 12, verse 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever.
So he's saying this because what? That's speaking about the spiritual body, right? Like the angel, the angelic celestial beings, shine like the light, like the sun, raining like lightning, right? Jump to verse 10.
Verse 10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
Right. So Mattathias understood what happened to Joseph. He was wicked and he didn't have no understanding. Nigga, it's not about you sacrificing the damn sheep, right? Or even the pork. It's about you following idol worship, sacrificing to another god. Right? Jump to verse 13 now.
Verse 13. But go thou thy way to the NB, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the day.
See? So this is what he said to his sons. So he's basically telling them, I'm going to come back again in a different lifetime. But in the meantime, y'all hold it down. So what happens now? Mattathias shook himself and for a moment seemed to have regained his former strength. My sons, be men. He said fervently, be men, be brave for the Lord. He smiled, looked a moment at each of his 5 sons, then he died. Right? The battle ahead would be long and hard, but at the end, it's the Maccabees would revive the worship of Adonai and would restore the kingdom to Judeans. The Hasmonean dynasty, begun with Mattathias, would survive until Pompey would claim all of Helvetica for Rome. The temple will be cleansed on the 3rd anniversary of its desecration on the 25th day of Castle, right? Feast of dedication. That cleansing is still remembered and celebrated through 8 days of rejoicing called Hanukkah. So this is an Edomite that wrote this book.
So, they know our record.
Right.
Yeah. So the Bible is real history. Your ass is finished if you don't believe in the laws and the words of the Most High.
I just came here, bro. Let you know again.
Right.
For real, man. The Bible is real history.
I got the movie, I got the thing prepped up right there.
Let me get it.
Go.
God,
You know.
so, man, with that, all praise, honor, and glory be to Allah, Shem Yahushua, Kwame Hashem.
If you watch the carry fly, you Edomites, you about to fry.
Another one.
See your ass.
Yeah.
And the Lord not going to hold us back.
Just a little quick lesson.
From putting a hook on your ass.
No, that's it.
So
He
you
carry
carry
your
like